a trail of damage in Oklahoma before taking aim at the South. America is listening to Fox News.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperatures cooler this afternoon. No more 70s for a while. 60 for the high. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Couple of showers here and there, but no afternoon rains all the time. Kind of a springtime pattern. Tonight, cloudy, scattered showers, chilly, 45. Wednesday, cloudy, windy, off and on showers, a chilly day, upper 40s. Instant replay on Thursday. The sun comes back and 60 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Discussion happens here.
Nobody thought that Kyiv could have held on. This is truly extraordinary.
Only one major city has been lost. It's Kherson,
where St. Louis comes to talk.
The Russians are running out of food. They're running out of ammo. They're running out of equipment.
I think we have seen a lot of evidence of supply line issues, of morale issues, of inability to be able to take these population centers. They're stymied and stalemated.
97.1 FM Talk.
Lakeside Renovation and Design. Oh man, these people are the best when it comes to making that kitchen that you've been dreaming about possible, or the finished basement. We are pretty much, I would say, out of that concept of spending all of our time in our homes. But I do bet that while you did spend an inordinate amount of time in your home, that you started to pick up on things that you just really wanted to change. You want to make that house even more of a home for yourself, for your significant other, for your family. Lakeside Renovation and Design, they can absolutely do that for you. And when we're talking about window replacements, which they also do James Hardie siding, so you're talking about an exterior remodel with the siding, with the windows, with the front door replacement, Lakeside Renovation and Design can do all of this for you, and they are exclusive to those Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows. If you're looking for that renovation, that facelift, or that remake of the kitchen, the bathroom, the basement, whatever it is, Lakeside Renovation and Design is waiting for your phone call at 636-978-5000, online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com.
When you own a small business, sometimes you need funds fast. So go to OnDeck, America's largest online small business lender with over $14 billion funded. OnDeck makes it easy to apply in minutes and, if approved, get your loan as soon as the same day so you can get back to business. Go to OnDeck.com. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah chartered industrial bank, member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
Men, do you feel embarrassed in the bedroom because of ED or PE? Would you like to be the man you used to be? Paramount Men's Medical Center has the solution. 98% of patients experience a positive result from the treatment in just 10 minutes after just one office visit. Listen to Dr. Schwartz, a specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center offers custom blended medications for ED or PE designed just for you. There's no pain or surgery. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or prostate issues, not a problem. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, not a problem. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, and it's affordable.
Contact Paramount Men's Medical Center to schedule a private consultation. 314-720-8254. You'll see results on your first visit, guaranteed or pay nothing. Call 314-720-8254. 314-720-8254. That's 314-720-8254.
If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. The all-in-one hiring platform helps you schedule and conduct video interviews right from your employer dashboard. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, this is Andy Berg, board-certified master arborist with Hanson's Tree Service. Before you know it, spring will be here, and along with it will come insects and mites that may feed on your landscape plants. Go to hansonstree.com to find out how we can service your trees today.
Odyssey.com is a universe of audio, and it's where you can download the app to stream 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it today and stream anytime from anywhere. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by The Loading Dock, River Views, outdoor dining, live music, and overnight accommodations. Visit GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Do the First Amendment free speech protections apply equally to conservative and liberal protesters?
Yes, Senator.
Well, there you have it. An answer that we like from Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. And this hearing has been taking place all morning. I watched these whole things and I don't know. That's probably what I should have made the YouTube poll today. I blew it. Dang it. Do you watch these things? Is it of interest to you to know all of the questions and all of the answers from the senators? The senators go Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. There'll be a couple extra Democrats in there because they have, I guess, maybe just one extra with it being, are they 50-50?
I thought this was the one committee that they settled on that would be 50-50, but I could be wrong.
It's interesting. Either way, by the time you get to, when you're at the end of the line on one of these committees and you're the last senators to go, everybody's tired by then. What is left to ask at that point in time? So we've been watching the SCOTUS confirmation hearings for President Biden's appointee, nominee, I guess I should say. Is it different? Is an appointee and a nominee different? I said that on the air yesterday, and then I spent an inordinate amount of time thinking to myself about that.
I really think the difference might be for what they're being either appointed or nominated for.
Is she appointed? I feel like if you're appointed,
I think
that's like there's a finality
right.
to that.
I think appointed is like cabinet positions and stuff like that, and the nominees are for like judicial positions. Yeah.
Appointees wouldn't have to be confirmed. I don't know. Somebody smarter than me tell me on our live chat right now. Regardless, the nominee, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, I feel like what I've heard from her so far is good comparative to what we're all bracing ourselves for, knowing that whoever President Biden nominates to replace Justice Breyer is not going to change the balance of the court. And it's so, to me, I'm always like, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to, and I say we, as in somebody like myself who has conservative interests, what's the goal here? And I feel like the goal here is to show America how to do this process in a respectful way. You look like you've got something to confirm for us.
Yeah, it's 11 and 11 in the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Split.
Yeah.
It's very clear that the focus here is, as Republicans who may not come out and vote in favor of this judge to become a member of the Supreme Court, that the Republicans want to make sure that everybody understands that what you did to Kavanaugh and what you did to Amy Coney Barrett, we're not going to do to Judge Brown. Okay. I mean, high five. I don't think that they should. I don't think they should come out and sling mud when they've got to like outsource the mud to sling. And honestly, if her if her judicial experience has something that is of great concern to the American people, I still believe that the Republicans are going to show that. One of the things that I found was interesting was it Senator Cornyn, I believe it was. At the end, the very last thing he said is he said, you know, he says to her, you've been charming, you've been delightful, you've answered our questions. And he goes, there's one last question that I want to ask you. And he said, when she was defending Guantanamo Bay detainees in court, apparently she referred to George W. Bush and the Secretary of Defense, who's slipping Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld, as war criminals. She didn't remember that. This is a pretty lofty ridicule of somebody. If you're like, oh, I just said that because I was in court. I don't know if that flies. I mean, I would be like, oh, I just said that on the radio because I was all worked up, and then I can like slough that off, hopefully maybe apologize and move on. But if you're going to call the president of the United States a war criminal when defending a Gitmo detainee in court, that surprised me. Did you hear that happen?
I didn't. Yeah, actually, I did. I caught that right as I was wrapping up with other stuff. But yeah, calling the president of the United States a war criminal is kind of a big deal. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that those Gitmo detainees, we didn't declare war. It's not a declared war, so I don't think that they're prisoners of war. I think that they have a right to be tried and all that other stuff. And I believe that if a person
it is what distinguishes the United States of America from everywhere else.
Right. And I also think too that they have the right to a vigorous defense. So this person, whoever's representing them, needs to be doing a good job of it. And I believe that if they are guilty of the crime, then they should be convicted. But to call Rumsfeld and George W. Bush,
she's going all in, I guess,
a war criminal, and then to not remember it.
That's the part that she did not have a recollection of that. And I think her defense of those potential remarks was that she was there to defend these people, and the Constitution doesn't get set aside in times of conflict. So that's been taking place all morning. It's going to continue. They're taking a lunch break, I think, right now. It will resume later. We're not going to air the whole thing. My assessment of your wants and needs are that you don't want to hear this whole thing. I'm curious of your thoughts about like how much would you like to consume of the original works of this confirmation hearing. We are going to listen to Hawley when he goes, Senator Hawley, because he's made quite the headlines here going into this confirmation hearing regarding the suggestion of her leniency that she has had towards sex offenders and those who have been charged and convicted in possession of child pornography. Senator Dick Durbin talked about this earlier, basically from the outset. In his opening statements today, basically what he did was pull out all of the big stories that are out there right now about this and probably try to dispel some of it. This is from him this morning.
The senator from Missouri has in his tweets said of your position on this issue, Judge Jackson has a pattern of letting child porn offenders off the hook for their appalling crimes, both as a judge and a policymaker. She's been advocating it since law school. This goes beyond soft on crime, the senator said. I'm concerned this is a record that endangers our children. I thought about his charges as I watched you and your family listening carefully yesterday, and what impact it might have had on you personally to know that your daughters, husband, parents, family, and friends were hearing the charges that your implementation of this law, sentencing, endangered children. Could you tell us what was going through your mind at that point?
So that's the question from Josh Hawley. And I find it's so frustrating to me when I hear these things be said by Democrats. And I'm thinking, where in the world was Dick Durbin when they were accusing Brett Kavanaugh of rape? Where was the question about, can you imagine Senator Durbin there saying to Kavanaugh, it's not lost on me that you have a family and you have children, you have young daughters and a wife, I assume parents, and they are having to listen to all of these accusations about yourself. And I'm just wondering how you felt hearing all of that. Oh my gosh, give me a break, people. It didn't matter. And the only reason why it didn't matter when the Democrats did it to Kavanaugh is because it was the Democrats doing it to a Republican nominee. Now, we shouldn't be treating people like that. So it's not the right thing to do for Republicans to turnabout's fair play and to berate and badger a woman over things that somebody out there randomly accuses them of without any proof, and take it to her the way the Democrats took it to the Republican nominees. But this is the world we live in. This is not, in my opinion, where the Republicans are going to win the fight against the double standards that exist, but they have to be willing to put their fists up in other places and actually fight for things that conservatives stand for when they are in office representing us, because that is the order of things. They are there to represent us. Everything becomes a political game, a political circus. We watch, we get disgusted, we tune it out, and maybe tune it back in every election cycle once it gets to be about a month or two out, which is what I think a lot of people do. And then they can't, they know what they know. They know what they're living. They know what they experience. They don't need politicians to tell them that their 401k is up or down. They don't need politicians to tell them that they got a raise at work or their pay cut at work. They don't need politicians to tell them that gas is $4.29, $4.39 at the pump or $2.29. They don't need politicians. Politicians are obsessed with the idea that nobody knows nothing until the politicians come on a 30-second ad with flowery music and oversaturated imagery of them and their families and their golden retriever to tell us that they are there to save the day. That's the world that politicians live in. We know what's happening in the world because it's happening to us. We know what's happening in this country because it's happening to us. Do I think that the Republicans need to push back on this nominee in the same way that the Democrats did to Kavanaugh, did to Barrett? They need to push back as strongly as they possibly can with things that are factual, not with things that are manufactured, not with things that are hateful, not with things that are meant to drum up so much public divisiveness that they end up getting an elected seat out of it down the road. I get messages from you folks all the time about how the Republican Party needs to stand up and fight. I agree with that. I don't think Ketanji Brown Jackson is going to be, is it just Jackson Brown Jackson. Yeah. I don't think she's the hill that the Republicans want to sacrifice all of the momentum that they have going into the midterms on, because she seems as though she's a likely liberal-minded judge that seems to have a lot of the right answers today. And I remember going back to Amy Coney Barrett, that there were so many things that she didn't answer. So many things. I mean, the left was making fun of her for it. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I can't weigh in on that. If there are court cases that are out there that are potentially going to rise up to the status of needing to be heard by the Supreme Court, you can't have a nominee making comments on those before it gets to the Supreme Court. Judge Brown has made that comment here today as well. I want to take a quick break. We're going to talk a little bit more today about the Hunter Biden laptop. We're going to talk more about this Supreme Court hearing. We're going to talk a little Illinois politics as well. It's 12:20 right now. You can donate your car to Goodwill and get 2022 Cardinal tickets at mersgoodwill.org. Use promo code Cardinals. And just a reminder, join us on the Andy Frey YouTube live chat today. You know why? Because our daily poll is rolling there. The YouTube live chat poll is rolling. Do you support Eric Greitens? Do you or would you support Eric Greitens? 3 options. Yes, in the primary and the general. Yes, in the general only. And no, I wouldn't. I would love to know what you think about that. And we'll star some of those comments and set them aside and read them at the end of the show. So if you want to participate with us and get your comment here on the air, got to go to that Andy Frey YouTube page, live chat poll. We'll be back in a minute.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
So if I run, it's not enough. You're still in my head, forever stuck.
97.1 is St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective. It's where St. Louis and beyond comes to talk. Right here, right now. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
If your business has accounting problems, you probably have tax problems. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Running a small business is tough, and it's no surprise that companies that don't keep good books often run into tax issues. If you don't fix your accounting problems, you could be doomed to land in the same tax pitfalls every year. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I can help you get out of tax trouble and stay out. If your small business doesn't have a CPA or accountant, I can help you find one. And if you already have one, I work closely with them to resolve your tax problems quickly. Make no mistake, if the numbers don't add up, the IRS will catch it. Fix your accounting and tax problems before they snowball with help from the Lance Drury Law Firm. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Looking to build a home in the Metro East, anywhere in the Southern Illinois, Southwestern Illinois area, you've got to check out cajonesinc.com. When it comes to energy efficient homes, smart homes in that regard, they are top notch. And the kind of home that they build, don't think that building is outside of your reach. And if you're looking to build a home that has all the customized features that you've been dreaming of, C.A. Jones can help you with that as well. Not to mention the fact that they work incredibly hard to make sure that it is a stress-free process for you. Granted, building a house is always going to have some of the stresses that are outside of the purview of somebody to stop. But when it comes to everything that they can control, they are on it to make sure that you are comfortable with your purchase, that you understand the costs associated with it, and that they're not changing on you all of the time. C.A. Jones Inc. is run by wonderful people, and I am really excited to see what kind of house you build in the Metro East area, from Springfield down to Waterloo and Columbia, so on and so forth, everywhere in between. C.A. Jones Inc. is looking to build a house for you. cajonesinc.com.
You say tomato, and I say tomato. Everyone is different. We have different fingerprints, different jobs, different homes, different personalities. We speak differently, think differently, spend differently, and save differently. Why wouldn't our dreams for retirement be different? At Heisey Advisory Group, we help our families put together the many pieces of the financial puzzle to provide a clear plan for the future. Embracing the uniqueness of an individualized plan. Take advantage of scheduling your initial strategy session and going through our retirement roadmap review process to see if your retirement dream is within reach. Call 314-328-6000 and schedule your complimentary retirement roadmap review with our team. That's 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear from home title thieves. But if you own a home and you don't guard it with Home Title Lock, you're inviting home title fraud, one of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know U.S. home values are sky high, and they paint a target on us. The crime is scary simple. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. Now he's on the deed to your home and you have no idea you're a victim. Then he takes out loans on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Lock puts a virtual barrier around your home's title. The instant they detect tampering, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, guard it with your life. Go to gettitlelock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. And enter radio for 30 days of free protection. That's code radio at gettitlelock.com.
Get ready to go crazy right
here. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Those kind of guy, or if I try to build a fire, I'll burn the woods. I ain't a mover or a shaker, can't keep up with the pacer. Never met a dance floor that ever did me any good. Oh, I can't change the world, no.
governor and I, and we were all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
What?
That's exactly what my wife said. I played that. You sent that to me and I was playing it and she's like across the room and she just looks up from whatever she was doing. She's like, what is she trying to say?
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
Nobody knows. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. There's a gem like that every day. It's funny in a terribly not funny way how many gems there are like that come from both the president and the vice president. Donald Trump would say things that sounded really dumb from time to time. And it was when he was riffing. He would say stuff and it wasn't so much that what he was saying was imperatively stupid. But it was like, why are we talking about that? How do we get to that? And when she's talking, somebody tweeted that out and said, this is what happens when you need to write a 1,500 word essay and you've only got 1,000 words. And I'm like, oh, been there. I know what that's like. The passage of time is significant because when you think about the passage of time, it's important to understand and embrace the significance of the passage of time. What the heck is that? I don't even understand. I guess maybe you had to listen to the whole thing, but gosh, what do you have to do to deserve that?
Man.
Do you know what she was talking about? Can you sum up?
Like maybe infrastructure? I think because she was talking about getting these
Could
wires.
be education.
Yeah, getting these wires
Maybe
laid.
healthcare.
And some other things but I've not heard much more of the clip other than a couple seconds on either end.
Is it bad for the United States to be pushing out these things and being like, look at our leaders, they're incapable? Because they just did it for 4 years with Trump in the worst possible way. The president of the United States does not seem capable. He does not seem as though. Do we have that clip? The clip about him saying the New World Order?
I don't have that one. I have a different Biden clip.
I am day to day looking at what President Biden is saying and looking at what Kamala Harris is saying and going, what are we doing? We're taking in water in every possible way on this ship that we're trying to steer with purpose. And we're drowning and there's nobody's trying to bail the water out of the boat. Everybody's like, well, it's their fault. I just want you to know the ship's going down, but it is their fault. It's a constant. It's a day-to-day thing. When you listen to Jen Psaki come out and do her press briefing, it's about blame. There aren't solutions that are being provided. And I'm at the point right now, as somebody who's staunchly conservative, I consider myself to be a Republican. I'm not ashamed to say that. But if you've got some Democrat solutions that are actually going to fix things, let us have them. But the solution, I mean, the literal solution when prices started to get out of control from Jen Psaki was literally to have a margarita over the weekend, go to kickboxing class on the weekend and come back raring to go on Monday. What in the world is that? We're in a constant cycle of political campaigning, and we're here in the middle of all of this with every day a repetitive cycle of there's a new thing on our plate that we have to deal with. And we look to the people who are supposed to be representing us in government, and their only response is, he did it. This is the same thing my children do. You've got that clip?
Yep. Should be the first cut.
No. Is it the cyber attack?
Here.
Play it. This is from yesterday, I guess. And listen,
we are at an inflection point.
Listen to the way he's talking.
The world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
Two things. I can only imagine what his staff did in the background when he said there's going to be a new world order. I just can imagine is it Airplane or Naked Gun where everybody's face palming over, like everybody's face palming.
It was one of the Naked Gun movies.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. Because if you watch that, he's got two teleprompters up in front of him. He's not looking at them when he says it, and his tell for he's gone off the path, and he's kind of just rambling usually is he says anyway. Every time he goes and starts talking about things that are not in the script, he brings himself back by saying something like, well, anyway, or I'm not going to talk about that. And then he goes back on script, and he did that there. And if you look at him, he's not looking at the teleprompters. I don't think that those are scripted remarks. I think that he just casually said New World Order. And then secondly, the second point there is, if there is a New World Order, does anybody think that Joe Biden's going to be the one who's leading it? Is Joe Biden the one who's in charge of it?
Not a chance.
He's not capable of it. I mean, it's pretty clear. And I'm not saying this, listen, I'm not saying this because he's a Democrat and I didn't vote for him. I'm saying this because we've got fires burning all over our country right now. And he's not even turning his attention to him. He's not sending a fire truck or a fire hose or it's not a 12 alarm fire. He's not doing anything. The southern border, we don't talk about the southern border anymore. It's like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. You don't talk about the southern border because nothing ever gets done at the southern border. I have a story here. Let me see if I can pull this up because this was really interesting. I read about this the other night. It's on Fox News, and it's about a Ukrainian refugee who tried very hard to get into the United States. Let's see here. I'm going to read from the Fox News update. While her brother must remain in Ukraine because of a presidential decree forbidding military-aged males from leaving the country, she says she became determined to bring her friend and her son. This is an American who's trying to get her closest friend and her closest friend's son to her home in Beverly Hills. Sokolovska said she was also motivated by her own history. Her father was killed in an explosion as he walked home from work in May of 2014, 1 month after Russian soldiers invaded Ukraine. She first secured a driver to take the pair to Kyiv's central train station so they could get to Poland by rail. So she helped her friend and their son get to Poland by train. She said that journey took 2 days as the vehicle slowly navigated around the Ukrainian capital to avoid bombed out or blocked bridges and roadways. When they finally got on the train to Poland, she said she flew from Los Angeles to Warsaw and met them at a bus station. Over the next week, the American says they traveled to 4 more European countries trying to get visas to the United States, but were unsuccessful. She says they eventually obtained a visa from the Mexican embassy in Budapest. After 2 more flights and long hours in passport control, the trio finally arrived at the United States-Mexico border between Tijuana and San Diego. That's where the American says that her friend applied for and received entry to the United States for herself and her son under temporary humanitarian parole. Couldn't get into the United States any other way, but she went to Mexico and got in on the southern border. Now, am I happy for these people? Sure. That's one story. And, is this person being tracked in America? Do we know everything we need to know about her background for her to be in the United States of America? But this just goes to show you that this is a circumstance that can be used. And it's a different scenario to get into America. Why is it a different scenario to get into America from the Mexican border than it is from Europe? I'm not 100% sure why that is. But it was the case for this family. The American says she hopes that other American citizens with family in Ukraine will also look into bringing their loved ones into the United States if they have the means to do so. And this family is thankful to be here in America, but their loved ones are still in Ukraine and still fighting. That's the reality of the situation. Is that the epitome of the problem that is at the southern border? It's a result of the problem that is at the southern border. And imagine how many people have come into this country, millions of people who have come into this country due to an open southern border that have been unvetted, who have been told, here, come back for your court case. They're not coming back for their court case, and we all know that. The president has that issue, which has been going on essentially since day one of his presidency. It was something that was not fixed under Donald Trump, but his policies were incredibly curtailing the problem that existed there, but it needed to be continued. And essentially the Biden administration's immigration policy across the southern border and our southern border security policy is, what did Trump do? We're doing the other thing. I mean, that's kind of a crap policy, especially when you look back at what Trump was doing and it was in fact working. And the economic numbers that we continue to hear from President Biden, talking about, the most jobs added in history or whatever it is, what's the starting point? Was the starting point when all of the Democrats shut everything down in this country, in these blue states? And what do they have to show for it? The American people are going to be asking themselves a lot of questions in the coming months. They've already been asking the questions and looking to their leaders for some sort of solution. And all they're getting is the blame game. Like children. He did it. No, she did it. They're smarter than that. American people are smarter than that. And it's my assumption that in November you'll be able to tell. Let's take a quick break. Wiggins America in studio. When we get back, don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Frank Cusimano right now from KSTK. Jack Flaherty. It's going to start the season on the injured list with what the team is calling is a small tear in his right shoulder.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Today, my kids go to see Dr. Jody at Hensher Johnson Orthodontics this afternoon to get that first initial appointment done. What kind of teeth straightening are they going to need? And, what's in our future? I don't know what the answer is to that, but I trust Dr. Jody with my kids. And I would encourage you to trust Dr. Jody with your particular orthodontic concerns or those of your children or your loved ones, because Dr. Jody is of the best. When you are looking for somebody who can give you access to the best technology when it comes to orthodontic work, when you're looking for somebody who has accumulated the best staff, these people are wonderful, they're caring, and they're very, very good at what they do. You're going to develop a relationship with your orthodontist. You're going to develop a relationship with their staff as well. And it's important that you trust them, that you care about them. If you're in the market for orthodontic work for yourself, for your kids, for your grandkids, please consider visiting Dr. Jody and her amazing staff at Hensher Johnson Orthodontics. They are the best, and they are waiting for your phone call. You can find out all the information you need online by visiting HensherJohnsonOrtho.com.
Wealth-changing question. Is your advisor giving you incomplete advice? Besides investing, there's also taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other elements that can be stressful to organize. At Creative Planning, we provide all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house, ensuring all aspects of your wealth are working harder together, so you can enjoy your wealth instead of worrying about it. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Non-attorney spokesperson. Ad sponsored by OpenJar Concepts. Attention veterans and active duty military. If you were issued earplugs between 2002 and 2016 and were diagnosed with hearing loss or ringing in the ears, you may be entitled to compensation. The manufacturer of these military earplugs recently paid $9.1 million to resolve claims that their earplugs were defective, potentially exposing service members to damaging sound levels that could have resulted in hearing loss or tinnitus. If you or a loved one were issued earplugs and were diagnosed with tinnitus or hearing loss, don't wait. You fought for this country, and our attorneys want to fight for you. Call 800-209-3734 now for a free legal consultation and to see if you may be eligible to file a claim. Time restrictions may apply, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. So call 800-209-3734 now. Again, 800-209-3734. That's 800-209-3734.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. For spring cleaning, make your own cleaning products from baking soda and vinegar. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Back in the car and back on the road. We're with you. Dependable traffic with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
The way you swept me up my feet.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
And baby, it's not so sweet. You know you could have been some perfume. Well, you could have been anything that you wanted to. I can tell.
The city has had increasingly tough sort of lockdown measures in the last few weeks, and many people are questioning, why this is necessary.
Meanwhile, major economies around the world are learning to live with COVID and loosening restrictions.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
Hello, Ryan.
So, hello. This caught my attention just because of everything going on in the world. There's a lot of world politics, world economic things going on. This tweet was from the end of the week last week from Zero Hedge, said, quote, for the past 2 years, China had at most 50 to 100 new daily COVID cases. Now it's 5,000 and it's shutting down key supply chain arteries that feed the U.S. economy, unquote. So I started looking into that to find out, well, what's going on? Because as you know, we're all paying more for things, and anything like this that makes me nervous because I'm trying to buy a new car and stuff like that. It looks like in certain cities, they are having COVID spikes, or at least they're reporting COVID spikes, and they're shutting down key industries in those cities. And as I found, it was Shenzhen is one of the main cities they're doing this in. It's a manufacturing hub. I think this is in South China. Well, that is where Apple owns about, or is at least involved with about 6 different companies. And all of them are being shut down simultaneously. That probably is not going to play very well for electronics, for things that you're trying to buy in the US, at least over the next several months, because we're already struggling with that kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, if they're hurting China's economy, that's like self-inflicted wound, right? So instead of just shutting down all of these companies, though, what I'm finding, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, is that the companies that have deeper ties into China are being deemed essential, like BYD company, which produces electric cars and batteries. Huawei, am I pronouncing that right? Huawei. I always read it and I never hear it. Huawei.
I know it's Huawei, but I didn't even know what you were talking about.
Brandon. Huawei Technology, huge telecommunications company. They've also been deemed essential. So the companies that have deep ties to China are fine. They're still operating. It's the companies that are being hit, because I figured that you had seen they also are shutting down Shanghai Disney in the midst of, get this, 42 coronavirus cases in a city of 26 million people.
Jen Psaki just tested positive for COVID. That's
No
brand new
kidding.
information. She just tweeted 8 minutes ago, today in preparation for travel to Europe, I took a PCR test this morning. That test came back positive, which means I'll be adhering to CDC guidance and no longer be traveling on the president's trip to Europe. Aw. She said, I had two socially distanced meetings with the president yesterday, and he is not considered a close contact as defined by CDC guidance. This is just such a silly sentence. I am sharing the news of my positive test today out of an abundance of transparency. The president tested negative today via PCR test. Thanks to the vaccine, I have only experienced mild symptoms. That's also a funny sentence. In alignment with the White House COVID-19 protocols, I will work from home and plan to return to work in person at the conclusion of a 5-day isolation period and a negative test.
Can we really attribute mild symptoms of a mild variant to the vaccine at this point?
I don't think you can't not. I think it's pretty proven that the vaccine causes people to experience more mild symptoms.
Yeah. It's just a very, very mild. Omicron is so mild already. It's hard to know.
Yeah, but how do we know which one she has?
Well, I guess we don't, but Omicron's the only one that people are reporting is happening right now.
Here's my question about
We're
it.
making assumptions
Yeah.
based on assumptions.
I'm just looking at this because, like, on St. Patrick's Day, the president couldn't meet with the Prime Minister of Ireland because he tested positive, but they said that they had spoken before. But again, they were socially distant. Now, Jen Psaki tests positive, which you would think that maybe that's linked to that in some way if you're contact tracing. The president has to have been exposed at some point, right?
We've all been exposed.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Would they tell us if he tested positive?
I don't know. I don't trust him. They should. It's our business.
Mm-hmm.
The clip that we played at the beginning of this segment was talking about how economies are learning to live with coronavirus. I mean, that's if we see another spike. Do you think that we would ever see in the United States shutdowns like we've seen so far again? Or are we all past that?
I think it depends on who would benefit from it. And I don't think it would be a purely medical decision anymore.
I'm afraid you're right.
I don't know that it ever was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess let me rephrase that then. I don't think that you could say it's a medical decision because I think that illusion has been wiped away.
I just wonder if there's so much pressure even for, because we on the right generally, we're done with it. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen in anything outside of a blue city. But even the bluest cities, I just think there's enough pressure from people living within deep Democrat enclaves that I don't even know if they could get away with it. At least government down. Businesses might be able to do it, but I just don't know.
Businesses should be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's their decision. There should never be any question about that. Businesses should be able to make whatever decisions that they want to make based on what they think is the right call for their business. And if that means that you're a business and you want to require people to wear masks and you want people to show vax cards, businesses should be encouraged to have that choice. I'm not going to your business anymore if you do that. But that's the whole free market idea. Businesses should not be involved in the conversation of what governments do because that conflates the issue. The problem is when government comes in and precludes us from being able to make those decisions for ourselves, for our businesses, for our families, for our kids. So to me, the business thing is totally separate. And I do believe that if businesses are to maintain that right now or to go back to that right now, that they are going to see it hit their bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I mean when I say I think businesses could get away with it, is that can they socially get away with it? You know, can they remain open and say masks for everybody, vaccines, whatever, and not get so much public pressure from people? I think within deep blue areas, they probably still could do that. I just don't know that.
But New York threw a fit.
If
New
the
York
individual
City,
businesses decided to do it, I think some could still get away with it. But if the city government decided to push it, I think that you're right, that they would push back even in deep Democrat areas now.
Yeah, they have. I don't think it would be now. I think that they already have. And I really do truly believe that the only reason why all these blue states pulled back on this it was because of politics. It had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with COVID. It had nothing to do with the CDC. The CDC acted after the politicians that were the mainstays for these types of overreaching regulations and requirements and mandates. The CDC reacted to them, and those blue states reacted to political discontent. So I mean, everybody has made their mind up on COVID. They're talking about a 4th vaccine booster. I know lots of people who've had the vaccine who never got a booster. They are not going to get a 4th vaccine booster. It's ridiculous to think that there is going to be an approved mandate edict that's going to come out from anybody at this point, and everyone's going, yep, all right, sign up, let's get on the train, the COVID train, and all do this together. Everybody's skeptical of everything everywhere. So to me, it's done, it's dead.
Do supply line problems like we were talking about at the beginning of the year, does that stuff scare you guys? Because when I hear about this, it just makes me nervous. And I think probably mostly for food, but for I'm looking for a car, that kind of stuff bothers me because it's completely out of my control.
I thought you had a car.
Well, we have cars, but
no, I thought you were going to buy that one for your friend.
We probably are. It's not set in stone, so we're still kind of looking, but it's that kind of stuff. Like, we got to make a major purchase and the whole world economy is pushing against us. There are probably a lot of people in that situation.
The American economy is pushing, the American government is pushing against us more. We have incentivized people to do business elsewhere. We don't incentivize people to do business here. It's our own fault to an extent. And, China makes everything with slave labor. How are you going to compete with that type of cost? But I was just talking with somebody in the car industry, was talking about how, the chips and everything that are needed to make vehicles have been on back order. When all that, if we've moved a bunch of money to start making those chips here in the United States, that's not going to just happen. That's going to take a long time to build the infrastructure that's needed to manufacture those chips. By the time we get that up and running, is everything going to be kind of back to what we understand as normal? And then the chips in China are going to still be super free, and then no one's going to want to buy the American chips because they're going to cost too much. So, I mean, it's the way we do business. It's not like China is in complete control, but it certainly doesn't help. And I also don't believe anything they say about COVID.
I know.
So to me, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Their numbers when they put out numbers, at the beginning of the thing, you see footage of people like falling over in the streets and you're like, whoa, what is going on in China? And their numbers look kind of bad. And then at the height of COVID, they're reporting way below anybody else in the world. And now they're reporting way higher than anybody else in the world. So you have no idea what's actually happening. I think it's all economics at this point.
Economics and propaganda.
And they're trying to take advantage of a situation in which the US dollar is looking like it might not be the world's reserve currency, maybe. So I think they may be taking steps to take advantage of Russia possibly pulling out a lot of these systems and saying, we're here though,
and that's kind of the thing with China, is to fight the fight without actually fighting, and this would fit into that strategy.
That's what you do when you have power.
You work behind the scenes. You work on little things that people don't notice until next thing you know, you're caught in the trap and there's nothing you can do about it. And I feel like maybe that's where China's trying to get to.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to have Hans von Spakovsky on with us. Jim Carafano had to postpone his time with us because he's on Fox News today. So Hans von Spakovsky is going to come on, which is great because he's going to give us the SCOTUS update that we are all looking for. What does Judge Brown look like? Is this going to be a quick confirmation? We'll talk to Hans about it here in just a minute. Plus, we have Illinois State Representative Blaine Wilhauer at 1:25 as well. A reminder to come join us on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat, where we have a poll going right now, and we would love to get your vote on it. Do you support Eric Greitens? Lots of news coming out of him from him yesterday, around him, some unsavory things. Do you support him? Would you support him? We need to get your vote on the Annie Frey YouTube channel live chat poll. Stick around, more Annie Frey Show in a minute.
You make my life so rich. You know you could have been some money.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire. ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Real estate prices are through the roof, right? Home buyers are paying way over asking price. You're tempted to sell, but you're not 100% sure you're ready to move. In a perfect world, you could sell your home for full value, bank the cash, and continue living there as long as you like. Well, I found your perfect world at Truehold.com. This is life-changing. Truehold will pay you 100% of your home's value, 100% in cash right now. And here's the best part. You don't have to move unless you want to. You can stay in your home as long as you'd like. Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance too. Let's review. Truehold pays you 100% of your home's value in cash within 30 days. Use your cash to do anything and everything you've dreamed of doing. Travel, pay off debt, or buy that new right-size home on the golf course. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com and discover the smarter, faster alternative to cashing out your home's full value without having to move. That's 855-300-9993 or go to Truehold.com.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
Weather, Lisa Brady, Fox News. The storm system that hammered Texas and Oklahoma with tornadoes is heading east. Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz.
Rain, heavy rain from the Ohio River Valley, and then some of that real severe weather again firing off down across portions of the Gulf states from back in Louisiana, stretching up into Mississippi.
Western Alabama also facing a tornado threat today. In Texas alone, at least 1 death reported and more than 24 injuries with damage in at least 12 counties. On the defense on Capitol Hill,
judges exercise their authority to interpret the law and not make the law.
Supreme Court nominee Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson answering questions about her record, including her time as a public defender, as Republican senators also raise questions about some of her sentencing decisions. She denies being soft on crime and is steering clear of political and policy issues, including court packing.
Every group that wants to pack the court, that believes this court is a bunch of right-wing nuts that are going to destroy America, that consider the Constitution trash, all wanted you picked.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Jackson says she agrees with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who said during her 2020 confirmation hearing, judges should not speak to political issues. Just getting word that the White House press secretary Jen Psaki has tested positive for COVID, so she will not travel to Europe with the president this week, a trip focused on Ukraine, including a NATO summit. A lingering mask mandate for young children may soon be lifted in New York City, depending on risk.
If the numbers continue to show a low level of risk, mask would be optional for 2 to 4 years old students in schools and in daycare.
Mayor Eric Adams setting April 4th as the tentative date. America is listening to Fox News.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperatures cooler this afternoon. No more 70s for a while. 60 for the high. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Couple of showers here and there, but no afternoon rains all the time. Kind of a springtime pattern. Tonight, cloudy, scattered showers, chilly, 45. Wednesday, cloudy, windy, off and on showers, a chilly day, upper 40s. Instant replay on Thursday. The sun comes back and 60 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If it's happening in the world, the country, or the community,
What is happening in the world?
then it's happening here.
Why would we go to these ugly nations rather than drill more or ask Canada to pick up the pace? So what is happening?
This is where St. Louis comes to talk.
Because it's so relevant to what's going on now.
97.1 FM Talk.
Try to explain to me the scientific evidence that proves that that's the right thing to do.
Right here, right now.
This is Ryan Wiggins. I get my teeth cleaned about every 6 months because I have a good friend who has a dental practice, Dr. Ty Parker in Fountains Family Dentistry, Fairview Heights, Illinois. I always talk about their convenient hours. Today alone, they're open until 7 o'clock at night, and that is just for your convenience. If you have hours that are either really early, they open late some days. If you work late, they're open early some days. They do everything general dentistry. That's like the cleanings that I talk about. Get yours on the books right now because March of 2020, they were way down, lots of canceled appointments. So those appointments are wide open right now for this month. So fountainsfamilydentistry.com. They also do sleep medicine, dental implants, and clear braces, all of the above, leveraging today's latest technology in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Fountains Family Dentistry. Can't recommend them highly enough. Being my dentist, you will love the experience going there. Fountains Family Dentistry is in Fairview Heights, right off of Highway 64. Easy to get to from no matter where you are. FountainsFamilyDentistry.com.
Any supplier can drop a box outside your door. But if you want a partner who delivers great customer service too, rely on Cintas. Your dedicated service reps can deliver what you need to help your business run smoothly. From essential cleaning products to hygienically cleaned apparel, fire protection services to first aid and safety supplies. That service you can't get from a box.
Oh, I'm ready.
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say,
Better get Mako.
and go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
Can you fix the car?
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by The Loading Dock, Riverviews, outdoor dining, live music, and overnight accommodations. Visit GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
The senator from Missouri has in his tweets said of your position on this issue, Judge Jackson has a pattern of letting child porn offenders off the hook for their appalling crimes, both as a judge and a policymaker. She's been advocating it since law school. This goes beyond soft on crime, the senator said. I'm concerned this is a record that endangers our children. I thought about his charges as I watched you and your family listening carefully yesterday, and what impact it might have had on you personally to know that your daughters, husband, parents, family, and friends were hearing the charges that your implementation of this law, sentencing, endangered children. Could you tell us what was going through your mind at that point?
So that was from earlier today. My senator there in Illinois, Dick Durbin, who is the chair of the committee that is leading the committee confirmation portion of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, very concerned about how Judge Jackson's family might react to the way that the senators are talking about this. Where was this? Where was this for the last two confirmation hearings that we've had? I mean, I just can't even imagine being married. You can see on her face right now that expression that Judge Kavanaugh's wife had sitting over his shoulder while he was being Kavanaugh'd. I mean, you can see it right now. I certainly can. Let's get the assessment of an expert on what's going on Capitol Hill today. Hans von Spakovsky back on the Annie Frey Show, senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, a friend of 97.1. Hans, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's, as you can see, a very, very busy day in Washington as these hearings go on.
It is. I'm curious of your assessment so far on what Judge Jackson has done in these this committee portion of the questioning. How do you feel her performance has been?
Well, I think she'd make a very good actress because she keeps sliding away from giving answers on very specific questions. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. Judge Lindsey Graham went after her because she filed an amicus brief on behalf of terrorists held in Guantanamo Bay, in which she said in the brief she filed in court that George Bush and Secretary of Defense Romney were war criminals. Now, when he asked her, well, did you really believe that? Did you really mean to assert that? You know what she said? She said, oh, well, you know, lawyers are paid to represent clients, and certainly we don't believe everything they do or say. But that's not true when it comes to amicus briefs. And I don't think anyone really pointed out the difference.
Tell us the difference, because we don't know all this lingo, and I think that's probably a pretty important distinction.
It is an important distinction. Look, if I'm a lawyer in a law firm, you know, we take on whatever clients come in and we represent them. And the fact that I represent them in court, whether it's a civil or criminal case, doesn't mean that I like them or agree what they say. But amicus briefs are briefs filed by folks who are not they're not the actual defendants or parties in a case. They are filing what's called a friend of the court brief because the issues in the case are so important to them that they want to give the court the benefit of their advice. It's like when, there's an abortion case currently before the court. Well, lots of organizations that support abortion and also those who are against it, they're not parties in the case, but they have filed what are called amicus briefs, front of the court briefs. Lawyers take that on voluntarily. Lawyers in big firms only file amicus briefs for clients that they want to represent, whose views they support. So it is not an answer for her to say, oh, well, I was being paid to represent this client. No, she was filing amicus briefs on behalf of terrorist detainees and was calling the president of the United States a war criminal. And she can't escape that by this dodge that she gave to Senator Graham.
So let's talk a little bit about that comment. What does that tell us? I mean, maybe more, we'd have to read more into the amicus brief in the context with which that was said. But does that resonate into her ability to be on the Supreme Court? Does that tell us something about who she is or how she would serve as a justice?
Yes, I think it tells us that if she gets confirmed, she will be probably the most far left radical to have ever sat on the Supreme Court. Because look, it wasn't just this one amicus brief. Keep this in mind. She, for a couple of years, worked for the public defender in Washington, D.C. Now, look, the job of a public defender and the job of the public defender in Washington is to represent poor people who've been charged with a crime but can't afford a lawyer. So her job was to defend Washingtonians, poor Washingtonians been charged with a crime. Yet, as a public defender, she goes down to Guantanamo Bay to use taxpayer funds to defend terrorist detainees down there, including terrorists who had engineered attacks on American soldiers. Now, again, that tells you a lot about her ideology. And it wasn't just that she was doing her best to defend the client she was supposed to. That's the poor Washingtonian she was ignoring in order to represent these detainees.
So just to clarify here, I've got a comment from Robert on our YouTube page. It says, why don't you tell your listeners that she was a public defender assigned to these terrorists and didn't have a choice in the matter? You're saying she did.
In fact, she did. That has been said about her. That's wrong. She worked in their appellate division. And in fact, she did have a choice of which cases she worked on. So the comment by your reader is actually factually incorrect.
I'm glad he asked because I'm glad we got that clarification. So just from the business of what is going to come for the rest of this week, as I understand it, this committee is split 11 and 11. Is that correct?
It is. So if they split when a vote comes up on her, that will simply delay it. They may delay it for a week or two. Chuck Schumer can always move to have her nomination sent to the floor of the Senate without the approval of the committee. But look, there's so many other things she needs to be asked about. Again, I'll give you just two examples that so far I haven't heard a single question about. One, she's on the board of overseers of a private school in Washington, D.C. that promotes critical race theory. And she's on the board of overseers of Harvard University, which is before the United States Supreme Court in a lawsuit that says, and pretty much proved, that Harvard discriminates in its college admissions policies against Asian American students. And she was on the board of overseers. That means that she helped approve the discrimination policy of Harvard University. She needs to be asked about those things. I think, frankly, both of those should disqualify her from being on the court, but she at least needs to be asked about it because she clearly supports racial discrimination in college admissions.
We're speaking with senior legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation, Hans von Spakovsky, right now. A lot of her questions that she's been receiving, her responses to me, and I'm not an expert on these things, so I could be totally missing it, but her responses don't seem to really answer the question, which seems very politician of her or anybody who's in that seat. I can understand the process a bit there. Is she giving answers, in your opinion, to the questions that are being asked of her, specifically of those Republicans on the committee that might be pushing the challenging questions a bit more?
No, she's skating around them. And one very specific, look, she keeps getting asked about what's her judicial philosophy? Instead of answering that, like at one point she was asked about that, and she went on for like 10 minutes talking about how she processes cases. Mm-hmm. That's methodology. That's not judicial philosophy. Judicial philosophy is a question of, look, do you apply the Constitution as it's written? Do you try to understand it in the same context of the way it was understood at the time it was written? Or do you believe in a living Constitution that you're going to bend it to fit today's things? Instead, she talks about how, she reads all the pleadings and looks at the briefs, tries to examine the facts. Like I said, that's methodology. That has nothing to do with judicial philosophy. And I think that's because, quite frankly, if you look at her 8 years as a trial judge and her year on the Court of Appeals bench, I think it's very clear from her decisions that she follows her own political and social views, not the law of the Constitution, because she was always, it was almost like it didn't matter what the facts of the law were in the cases before her. If the groups in front of her were a union or the ACLU or Planned Parenthood, she would always find in their favor.
Is there anybody, is there any senator in particular that you're specifically interested in hearing the line of questioning from?
Ted Cruz. The reason being that he is one of the best lawyers I've ever seen argue cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. Before he ran for the U.S. Senate, he was the Solicitor General of Texas, and it was his job to represent Texas at the Supreme Court. Plus, he's a former Supreme Court clerk. So if there's anyone that can actually really question her on her view towards the Constitution, it's Ted Cruz.
Hans, it's always a pleasure to have you on with us. We look forward to having you on again, because I do want to talk to you soon about election integrity. Your book, Our Broken Elections, How the Left Changed the Way You Vote, is out now, and people can get that book, I'm sure, wherever books are sold. Do you have a preferred place that people can look for your new book?
No, they can either go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and they could order it.
All right. Well, we look forward to reconnecting with you on that, and also with this process as it's going to continue on. Hans, you're a friend of the show, and we're grateful we had some time with you today.
Sure, it was good to talk to you.
You as well. You can follow Hans on Twitter at @Von Spakovsky. He is a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, former FEC commissioner, also a DOJ lawyer. I'm interested to hear from Ted Cruz. I think he always does a masterful job of what he's doing. Mike Lee just went right now. He's usually pretty well articulated with these situations, but also we're going to watch Josh Hawley when he goes into his questioning. So I don't know. We can go look at the list and see when he's going to go. Do you know when he is?
I don't know offhand, but I will find out.
Where's he batting in the lineup?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully cleanup.
Yeah. It's going to be a pretty big bat. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer is going to update us on the Illinois legislative session that's going to end here in a few weeks. What is the Illinois legislature prioritizing right now, especially amidst the news that we've covered here on this show regarding Mike Madigan, who has been indicted, and wondering how far that will ripple out and affect Illinois Democrats. More Annie Frey Show in a minute. It's 1:20 right now. You can donate your car to Goodwill and get 2022 Cardinal tickets at mersgoodwill.org. Use promo code Cardinals. Back in just a minute. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. Shows that make a difference. Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon and Dana Lesh, Heidi Harris, Wiggins America. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
The Closet Factory, online at closetfactory.com. I love these people. They're good people, first and foremost, which does matter. At least it matters to me. I assume that it matters to you as well. When you call the Closet Factory, you are going to get in touch with somebody who is going to come to your home and see what your problem area is. You can call them at 314-961-4300. That's 314-961-4300. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you give them a ring. Now, you've got a problem area in your house. It could be your garage. This is a great time to be talking to Closet Factory about how to get your garage in order. Think about wall storage and specific places for all of the things that are probably littering the side of your garage. But let's be honest, maybe even like the whole carport. Put your car back in your garage. Figure out where you can put space up and have the Closet Factory come in and be masters at it. That's what they do. And they're very kind when they do it, and they're super helpful, and they're affordable as well. If you're looking for function, if you're looking for fashion, if you're looking for the perfect mix of both, the Closet Factory is there to make your storage mess a storage solution customized for your needs. Online at closetfactory.com.
The St. Louis real estate market continues to make headlines for home sellers. Selling's easier, but finding your next home can be tricky. Hey, Mark Cox here. For the best real estate advice, get to know my friend and realtor Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I know everyone knows a realtor. I know several as well, but I only endorse Gloria because of her proven track record. I've seen her systems, I've met her clients, and when it comes to getting you more money, Gloria is the only agent and team I would trust to sell my home. The secret is Gloria already has the buyers, thousands of buyers who are looking for homes in your area, your price range, and ready to buy today. This is how Gloria creates higher demand, multiple offers, and the most money for you. So take it from me. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Do you have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning because of a sharp pain in your heel?
I did. I had plantar fasciitis. I had a burning sensation on the bottom of my feet. I went to the Good Feet Store, and what a relief. And now I never go without my Good Feet support.
Are your knees and back killing you by the end of the day?
It was getting so severe, I almost stopped walking. I have no problems with my knees now. I couldn't believe how fast it helped me.
You deserve a better life, too. Come to the Good Feet Store today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Pain relief and comfort to fit any budget. Come in for a free test walk today. Good Feet products are proudly made in the USA.
When Richard Irvin decided to take on Pritzker for governor, he wasn't following a whim. He was answering a long familiar call to duty. Irvin joined the Army out of high school, served in Desert Storm, decorated for bravery. Surviving a brush with death in a dangerous war zone, Richard dedicated his life to service because he loves his country and knows how fragile freedom and security are. As a prosecutor, Irvin put thugs behind bars, drug dealers, gangbangers, 1,000 convictions, hired more cops, and cleaned up crime as mayor, balanced budgets, passed property tax relief. When riotous looters came to town, Irvin shut them down. He knows we'll lose the country he fought for if the radical woke mob takes control. Irvin says all lives matter, that schools shouldn't teach kids to be ashamed of their color or country, that we'll take our state back if we have strong, service-minded leadership. And that's Richard Irvin, our next governor, paid for by Irvin for Illinois.
Song I wrote, you might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to have you with us here in St. Louis, at least, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Again, had to look at my sheet to confirm that it was in fact Tuesday, which it is. First baseball game tonight for my son. I hope that it actually happens.
I am super excited for him. There's nothing like that feeling, though.
It's on turf, so I think as long as it's not bad, then that we'll be playing. We're grateful that you're here with us. A reminder that you can vote in the Annie Frey YouTube channel live chat poll and tell us if you support Eric Greitens. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the show. So please get your comment in if you support him and you want us to know why, or if you don't and you want us to know why. We'd love your feedback on the Annie Frey YouTube channel live chat. You can go there right now. I do want to get to our next guest here because there's a lot that's been going on in the state of Illinois that hasn't been talked about a lot. I'm usually at least in the St. Louis area, the one who's talking about these things when they do take place. And one of our go-tos, Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer in Southern Illinois. He joins us again. Blaine, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here.
Hey, good to be here. The General Assembly is back in session in Springfield this week.
That means Illinois
watch out.
taxpayers are bracing themselves for impact.
And they should.
What can you tell us? Like, what do Illinois taxpayers and residents need to know about what their representatives are doing in Springfield?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing that people need to know, and the politicians up here need to know, is that the easy choices are over here in the state of Illinois. You know, things have been destroyed to such an extreme, both fiscally and morally here, that there's no such thing as an easy choice. So people need to get their big boy pants and big girl pants on and start making the tough decisions here, because poor public policy is the reason that that regular working folks in this state don't have the opportunities that they need, and that's why they're fleeing in droves. That's our biggest problem.
You know, Blaine, you represent a contingent of Southern Illinois that seems to me to be pretty conservative. It's very in line, for the most part, from what I can tell, with what I believe. And I've seen our Metro East area here, just on the east side of the Mississippi River, really start to gravitate towards this common sense that is not being represented in Springfield when it comes to how our tax dollars are spent. And in a lot of ways, the way the legislature has pushed a lot of these social issues. What can you tell me about what the legislator is looking to do right now, or some things that have recently passed that give us an example here, at least in the Metro East, of what Springfield thinks they're representing about us?
Yeah, well, Springfield doesn't represent a lot of common sense, and that's what we're seeing. Since we've got some good leaders, good representation from southern, south central Illinois, we're starting to advocate that stuff a little more, and I think it's making a comeback. But you know, obviously, over the past 2 years, the governor's policies have completely decimated the state that was already on you know, saying it was on shaky ground is being generous. But you know, he shut down all these businesses. He put all these people out of work. So our unemployment is a huge thing in the state of Illinois. The unemployment trust fund in the state of Illinois has taken a major hit. We are $4.5 billion in debt. The state of Illinois is on our unemployment trust fund. And we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything about it. Literally, the federal government gave us billions and billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars to deal with stuff like this. But instead of dealing with it, the governor uses this money to paper over, you know, some of the structural deficiencies that they've had in their budget in the past years. And this is going to hit taxpayers big time, because there's only two ways to fix this if you're not going to use the federal money that's just sitting there. You're either going to have a tax increase on job creators, which is going to make the state of Illinois even a worse destination, or there's going to be decreases in benefits. Neither one of those situations makes sense, but it's just emblematic of the state of Illinois not having the courage to just do the right things, even when the right things are just really simple. And you know, the workers at the end of the day, they're gonna pay for this stuff. You know, you know, we have all this federal money there. We can pay for this, but that federal money has also caused an inflationary system that is the cruelest tax on the folks that I represent in Southern Illinois. I can tell you that, you know, in the grocery store, the gas pumps, and everywhere else.
And it hits everybody. I've said this 100 times on this show here lately, that if you pay zero attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C. or Springfield, Illinois, or Jefferson City, Missouri, you still know that things are not going well. You don't need any politician out there to tell you how things are going. Americans, Illinoisans, Missourians, we all know, because we're living it each and every day. Here's my question to you. And I've criticized Washington, D.C. for this, and specifically the Biden administration for this quite a bit, because they have the opportunity every day to go in front of the American people in a press briefing. And all we do is get the blame game. It's like, yeah, everything sucks, but we just want to make sure before we leave here that you understand whose fault it is and whose fault it isn't. What kind of common sense reforms or measures can Illinois take right now? Like real solutions that could be put into place in Illinois to get it to be more of the destination place for people to live or to stop people from fleeing?
Well, I mean, we got to focus on quality of life issues. We've got to bring opportunity back here, and you bring opportunity back here with real structural reforms. You know, biggest thing in Illinois is property taxes are completely out of control, and they're out of control because our pension system is overloaded. You know, half of our state level funding for education goes straight to legacy costs and pension costs, and that's draining money out of the classrooms, and that's requiring locals to pay more property taxes to make up for that. We need real pension reform, and we got 7,000 units of government in the state of Illinois. That's more than Texas and California. We've got to tackle these issues, but when you tackle these issues, Annie, you're going to come up against major special interest groups that have a vested interest in maintaining that status quo. Your teachers unions, you know, your public sector unions, even your chamber of commerces, and these people that are supposed to be supporting, Republicans and conservatives. We have way too much going along to get along, and it's a bipartisan problem in Springfield and Washington, D.C. Politicians are more concerned about maintaining their preserving their power, their position, and regular workers are getting crushed by it. We need leaders with courage, leaders that stand up. And let's look back at the last 2 years when you go into the voting booth and look at the people who stood up and look at the people who stood on the sidelines. And that should be a good indication, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or whatever. Vote for the people that stand up. We need courage. Easy choices are over.
Illinois State Representative for the 107th District here in Southern Illinois, Blaine Willauer, on with us. Let me ask you about some of these options that people have here in Southern Illinois, or at least opportunities for some common sense to be restored to Springfield. We've got Katie Stewart, who is the 112th district, which is the district I'm currently in. They drew me out of that one into Amy Ellick's district. Amy Ellick has been a great representative for the 111th district, but Katie Stewart does nothing to represent the common sense people who are in the Madison County area. Jay Hoffman, we have LaToya Greenwood. I think I'm forgetting somebody, but let's talk about their connection, their ability to get reelected in the last couple cycles here on Mike Madigan's dime. And knowing what we know right now about Mike Madigan, I think the number off the top of my head, it's either $1.5 million or $2.5 million that came into Katie Stewart's election to make sure that she would get elected, that came straight from Mike Madigan. And we know now that he's been federally indicted for all sorts of different things that helped him get rich in his position. Tell me a little bit about the opportunity that Southern Illinoisans have to bring something to the table in Springfield by replacing these individuals.
Corruption is one of the biggest taxes on the citizens of Illinois. Big things don't get done because the special interests control everything through the money. And yes, Katie Stewart is knee deep. She is neck deep in that stuff. She took all of that money from Mike Madigan. She never opposed Mike Madigan, even when other radicals up here were standing up and saying enough is enough for Mike Madigan. Katie Stewart didn't. And I will tell you that there is not a district in the state of Illinois where a representative is more out of line with their constituents than Katie Stewart. People need to realize, that Metro East is a blue collar area. It's old steel mill, old union workers, common sense people, the kind of people that I represent. Katie Stewart's a radical. Katie Stewart is for infanticide. She has actually argued with people on the floor of the House about, saying it's inappropriate to say that grown men can't go into girls' bathrooms. This is the kind of stuff that you're getting Metro East from Katie Stewart, and you've got a real fighter in that district that's running, somebody who stood up. Jennifer Cordy she's on the ballot in the Republican primary in the 110th. She stood up when it would have been a lot easier when they're segregating students in Edwardsville and forcing these students to eat by themselves and do everything else just because they wouldn't wear a mask. even after every piece of scientific evidence said that it was worthless. She stood up for them people, her and Ryan Cunningham and the Stanford Students organizations over there. These are the people that we need to be supporting. We don't need more people that coming from the Illinois Republican Party establishment coming in here and trying to steal these districts away. We need real fighters. And, the sooner the Republican Party in the state of Illinois wakes up and realizes that voters are longing for people who actually stand for something, that want to give people a compelling reason to vote for Republicans in places where they've traditionally voted for Democrats, the better off we're going to be. We don't get that by nominating political hacks to these jobs when we need real leaders. Jennifer Corti is your person in the 112th. You need to get online. You need to look her up.
Yeah, I can confirm here Katie Stewart accepted $1.5 million in campaign contributions from Mike Madigan, supported Mike Madigan for speaker. Jay Hoffman accepted $459,000 in campaign contributions from Madigan. He also helped pay for Mike Madigan's legal defense. You mentioned Speak for Students and the education upheaval that we've seen on a national scale with those, domestic terrorists, according to the Biden administration's appointees, that stood up all over the place and said, you know what, I'm not a political person. I hate speaking in front of people, but this is where I draw the line. I'm more afraid of not speaking up on behalf of my children than I am with the jitters that I have going in front of a school board or standing with someone who's speaking at a school board meeting. What's your sense now that we're a little bit past that, a little bit, with a lot of other big news stories in between the ending of the mask mandate because it was moot, as we like to remind people, to where we are right now, to where we might be in November? Do you feel as though those families, those parents are going to still have that fire in their belly to make sure that we don't do this again with folks like J.B. Pritzker in charge, or maybe a Katie Stewart locally?
That's exactly right. People are going to remember. We're going to see more and more over this generation the harm that we allowed to be perpetrated upon the children to basically prop up a political narrative for people like Katie Stewart and J.B. Pritzker, and we're not going to let them forget. We're going to be talking about it because this is important. This is where the rubber hits the road on these issues, and people are going to be fired up and they're going to go to the polls. And let's face it. Illinois Democrats are giving people a lot of reasons to be fired up. Things are a disaster on the national level. They've been a disaster on the state level here, but you finally got some advocates in Springfield that are shining a light on this stuff, and we just appreciate people like you that give us a voice, Annie. But go out and vote. Support somebody. It's time to get off the sidelines. Regular folks have been on the sidelines for too long, and you can see the kind of havoc that it wreaks on everything.
Last question before we let you go. Blaine Wilhauer with us right now. Do you believe that the absence of Mike Madigan in this election cycle, or his ability to write the checks and control the checks, is that going to affect Republicans' ability to compete?
I think that it will. But the biggest thing that's going to affect our ability to compete is that we've got candidates all over the state of Illinois. We're putting candidates in districts where we've never had them before. Jay Hoffman's got a legitimate opponent. Katie Stewart's got a legitimate opponent. And in the Chicago area, there's legitimate opponents, and we're going to take advantage of this situation. But we need the folks to get involved and go out and support some candidates, and make sure you go to the polls and take your friends with you.
Thank you, Blaine Wilhauer, for the time and for the information, because I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I know you guys are fighting hard, representing Southern Illinois very well. Blaine, we'll have you back on soon.
Hey, thanks, Annie.
Yep, talk to you again. Illinois State Representative Blaine Wilhauer, 107th District, down here in the Southern Illinois. And when I say Southern Illinois, I actually mean Southern Illinois, not just that South I-80 stuff that those Northerners say all the time. You know how it goes. Quick break. When we come back, more Annie Frey Show here in just a minute. A reminder to go vote on that Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Let's have Hannah come in the next segment, if she's free and available, to talk to us about the poll, and we'll get it to the point where we will give you the update at the end of the show. We're at 70 votes right now. Yesterday, we topped 100 votes, which was exciting. First time we did that with this new feature. We'd love to hear what you think. Do you support Eric Greitens? You can see the options that are available in the live chat on the Annie Frey YouTube channel and weigh in, comment, tell us why or why not. We'll be back in a minute.
Be happy.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
that will bring everybody down. So don't worry, be happy.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Frank Cusimano right now from KSTK.
Jack Flaherty. It's going to start the season on the injured list with what the team is calling is a small tear in his right shoulder.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
I love talking to you about Air Comfort Service. One of the reasons why I'm coming up here on my 4th anniversary of doing this show in middays, which is pretty crazy. But before that, you might know that I've been with 97.1 since the beginning of 2009. So I've been around for a while. And you know what? So has Air Comfort Service. The partnership that exists between 97.1 and Air Comfort Service is a long one. And it's really an investment in how we work together, and we both care about exposing people to good people with good ideas and good services. Air Comfort Service for your HVAC needs, they are the go-to. I understand that if you are looking for somebody to come check out your system to make sure that it is working functionally, maybe just doing some maintenance on it or a tune-up or a checkup, you want to make sure that you go to somebody who you can trust. But if you also have to make that call that is going to result in the replacement of your heater or the replacement of your air conditioner, and you're going to write that check, you want to make sure that the job is going to be done right and that you're getting a fair price. Air Comfort Service is that for you. That's why I'm happy to endorse them. And I'm so grateful that they support us here on the Annie Frey Show. Please consider reaching out to them for your HVAC needs. You can call them at 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
Are you a baby boomer with questions or concerns regarding your retirement plan? How about the future of U.S. tax rates and trends? Does your retirement portfolio fully support your income needs? I'm Ken Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. I can help answer those questions and more. Register for one of our upcoming retirement workshops on Thursday, March 24th or Tuesday, March 29th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. This 2.5-hour workshop will cover 3 essentials: income planning, investment planning, and tax-efficient strategies. Call now to register at 314-328-6000. Again, 314-328-6000. If you have the slightest doubt about your retirement plan, or if you don't have a retirement plan, this workshop is designed for you. Seating is limited, so call now to register at 314-328-6000.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services but may not give tax advice. Firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Pineview Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free, plus a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Pineview Medical now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
There's a big red barn where you say green. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn, with locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios. Get in your comfort zone with a new HVAC system. Double carrier cool cash rebates for a total of $143 are available on qualifying new HVAC systems. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
If it's bumper to bumper or smooth sailing, Sue Thomas has you covered with dependable traffic. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Wish that I was on a rocky top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoky smoke up on Rocky Top. Ain't no telephone.
You're listening to
bill.
The Annie Frey Show.
Once I had a girl
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
wild as a mink, but sweet as soda pop. I still dream about that. Rocky Top.
This song was responsible for like probably 3 years of left knee issues with me. Wild Country. It's a lot of bouncing, pretty much all on the left leg. I can't remember what it was called because it was like the one you did to Rocky Top, the line dance. And I used to do it in heels. That's like, I don't do heels anymore. I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm done with it. I'm tall enough as it is.
Is Wild Country still around?
No, it's a church now, which is very ironic.
Yeah.
You know the old phrase about, the catchphrase for Wild Country? If you can't find us,
You're too dumb to be there.
too stupid to be here.
Oh, I messed it up.
If you can't find us, it go, you're too stupid to be here. And it's like, oh, wow, okay. I see. They just weed out all the dumb people, I suppose. I don't think that was the case. Rocky Top was a good one, a good old one. You know the song Rocky Top?
No.
Do you?
Yes.
Yes. From sports?
Yes, from the University of Tennessee.
Mhm. I
And
wondered if that was Beware You.
It sounds awesome with a college band playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a
Everything
wall of
sounds good
awesomeness.
with a college band.
Not everything, but that one does.
Name something that doesn't sound good when a band plays it.
Some songs by Petey Pablo.
Who am I? I couldn't name a song by Petey Pablo.
Nah, me neither.
I feel like he's featured in a lot of songs.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Rocky Top. I know a lot more about Rocky Top than Petey Pablo. And if you didn't know that about me, I should not come to you as a surprise. All right. The Annie Frey YouTube channel right now has a poll up that you can partake in. Hannah, what can you tell us?
So the poll is located in the comment section on our YouTube page. And the question today is, do or would you support Eric Greitens? And the option is yes in both the primary and the general. Yes, but only in the general, or no, I do not support him.
So we have 76 votes in right now, and I'm not going to say what the results are, but I'm a little bit surprised by how it's shaking out. So I would love for you to reach out and vote. If you're not sure how to get to this poll, here's how you do it: YouTube.com, type in Annie Frey, Frey. We're live right now, so you'll be able to tell which video we're talking about because it's the one that's live broadcasting right now. You can watch the radio show. It's this newfangled thing. And in the live chat there, which you can participate in every day, is the YouTube poll. So we're going to continue to do these every day. And Hannah, I can see you're starring some of the comments, so we'll get to those later.
Yep.
Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you, Hannah. I appreciate it. We'll continue to read your comments and highlight them there.
I hope we get 100 votes. We're close again.
Yeah, we are. It's ticking up while I speak here. So come be heard. And honestly, I would like to see too, for folks, you don't have to be in Missouri to weigh in on this. I'm just curious what the take is. Ted Cruz is speaking right now. Do you want to dip in and just listen to a little bit of that here and see what he's saying? All right. So Ted Cruz is questioning Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is looking to be confirmed to the Supreme Court. This is the committee hearing, and Ted Cruz is asking questions. Let's get to it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You and I have known each other a long time.
We have.
We went to law school together. We were on the law review together. We were a year apart.
Happily so, I hope, Senator.
We were not particularly close, but we were always friendly and cordial.
We were.
And you and I had a very positive and productive meeting in my office where we discussed a number of things, including you were there with former Senator Doug Jones. And we discussed how he and I and a number of other senators had for 2 different years participated in reading aloud on the Senate floor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail, which is one of the truly great advocacies for civil rights our nation has seen. And you and I talked together about our shared admiration for Dr. King. When Senator Grassley questioned you earlier, he asked in particular about Dr. King's speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where he said most critically, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Do you agree with what Dr. King said in that speech there?
I do, Senator.
As we were discussing it, you referenced in my office a speech that you gave in January of 2020 at the University of Michigan School of Law. And after our discussion, I pulled a copy of your speech and read the speech in its entirety. And there were elements of the speech that I thought were really powerful. And let me say, your opening remarks yesterday were powerful and inspirational as well. And I think you and your family, the journey you have taken to becoming a federal judge, to becoming a federal Court of Appeals judge, I think demonstrates the incredible promise and the incredible opportunity this nation offers all of us. As I read your speech at the University of Michigan Law School, however, there was a portion that surprised me. And in particular, in that speech, you referenced the work of, quote, acclaimed investigative journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones, and her, and again, this is a quote from the speech, provocative thesis that America was born in, provocative thesis that the America that was born in 1776 was not the perfect union that it purported to be. And indeed, Ms. Hannah-Jones, in her 1619 projects, describes the central thesis of the 1619 project, which the New York Times laid out as a revisionist look of history, revising American history. And Ms. Hannah-Jones described her central thesis as, quote, one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare independence was because they wanted to protect the institution of slavery. Now, that claim is a highly contested historical claim. Do you agree with Ms. Hannah-Jones that one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare independence is because they wanted to protect the institution of slavery?
Thank you, Senator. When I gave that speech at the University of Michigan, I was asked to speak on Martin Luther King Day. And every year they have a Martin Luther King Day speaker. And I gave a speech about Black women in the civil rights movement. Most of the speech, if not all of the speech, was focused on African-American women, their contributions to the civil rights movement, unsung contributions in many cases, and then some of the more recent African-American women who have made claims, who have done things in our society. One slide was of Ms. A journalist, as you say, who made that statement, and I called it provocative. It is not something that I've studied. It doesn't come up in my work. I was mentioning it because it was, at least at that time, something that was talked about and well known to the students that I was speaking to at the law school.
So are you aware that since the 1619 project came out, that it has been roundly refuted by very respected historians, including Gordon Wood of Brown University, including James McPherson of Princeton University. McPherson called it a, quote, very unbalanced, one-sided account which lacks content and perspective. And indeed, it was so thoroughly refuted that the New York Times quietly altered the digital version to remove references to 1619 as the year of America's true founding and the moment America began. Were you aware of that?
I was not.
So let me ask you, related to the 1619 project, which I believe is deeply inaccurate and misleading. 1619 project is closely intertwined with a movement that is called critical race theory. Critical race theory, as you know, originated at your and my alma mater at the Harvard Law School. In your understanding, what does critical race theory mean? What is it?
Senator, my understanding is that critical race theory is, it is an academic theory that is about the ways in which race interacts with various institutions. It doesn't come up in my work as a judge. It's never something that I've studied or relied on, and it wouldn't be something that I would rely on if I was on the Supreme Court.
So critical race theory, as you know, has its origins in the critical legal studies movement, which also came from Harvard Law School, from a number of critical legal studies professors, crits as they were known when we were in law school, who are explicitly Marxists. And they find their origins in Marxism, although critical legal studies frames society as a fundamental battle between socioeconomic classes. Critical race theory frames all of society as a fundamental and intractable battle between the races. It views every conflict as a racial conflict. Do you think that's an accurate way of viewing society in the world we live in?
Senator, I don't think so, but I've never studied critical race theory and I've never used it. It doesn't come up in the work that I do as a judge.
So with respect, I find that a curious statement because you gave a speech in April of 2015 at the University of Chicago in which you described the job you do as a judge. And you said sentencing is just plain interesting because it melds together myriad types of law, criminal law, and of course, constitutional law, critical race theory. So you described in a speech to a law school what you were doing as critical race theory. And so I guess I would ask, what did you mean by that when you gave that speech?
Ted Cruz right now questioning in the confirmation process, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, and we are going to continue with this. This is too good to stop. And there's Rocky Top. So, we got to go. Stick around. More Annie Frey Show in a minute. We're going to pick up where Ted Cruz left off there. We're watching for Josh Hawley as well. And we're waiting for your comments on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Will you support Eric Greitens? Annie Frey YouTube channel live chat. Hannah will update us with the results in a minute. Don't go in.
Here, community comes together and new friendships form. Stories are shared and new chapters written. Activities are limitless and amenities unsurpassed. Here, you'll find thoughtful care and committed attention. Here, you have a voice and are heard. Here, there is beauty. Allegro Richmond Heights, assisted living, memory care. Live beautifully. For a tour, call 314-202-5989 or visit allegroliving.com.
Odyssey celebrates Women's History Month.
Taraji P. Henson is synonymous with on-screen charisma. The actress and producer was born in 1970 in Washington, D.C. and attended college in North Carolina, where she studied electrical engineering before transferring to Howard University. She's best known for her work in hit films Hidden Figures and Hustle and Flow, and as Cookie Lyons on TV's Empire.
Odyssey, celebrating remarkable women. For more, check out our exclusive station, She Sings, on the Odyssey app.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
The Supreme Court hearing showdown continues. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News. Day one of questioning from senators continuing as President Biden's Supreme Court nominee, responding to criticism at her confirmation hearing, as well as defending her rulings in her prior roles. Fox's Jared Halpern's got the latest from Capitol Hill.
Judge Jackson has answered questions from Republicans and Democrats about her prior role as a federal public defender.
The lawyers were trying to help the court to figure out what the executive's power was in this circumstance.
Jackson explained to the Judiciary Committee the legal briefs she filed on behalf of terror suspects held at Guantanamo shortly after the 9/11 attacks.
Criminal defense lawyers make arguments on behalf of their clients in defense of the Constitution and in service of the court.
Jackson has also explained sentences she handed down as a federal district judge in child pornography cases. Republicans have called those sentences more lenient than federal guidelines recommended. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Meantime, in Ukraine, the war rages on. The once beautiful port of Mariupol, described now as hell on earth.
The bombardment of Mariupol is still, with all that destruction, unrelenting. And the Russian forces have to show for it few gains on the ground as they continue to try to pound the civilians into that town, frankly, into submission, to hit them with artillery until their will is finally broken. Mariupol has been under siege for 2 weeks. Sergei Tartua, who holds the title of People's Deputy, says the buses hauling civilians to safety yesterday were fired upon and 2 children were struck. So today, the buses to haul civilians out are only going as far as the town of Berdansk, which is about 50 miles to the west. Civilians can get free gas if they get to Berdansk, but they've got to get there first.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Lviv. America's listening to Fox News.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Temperatures cooler this afternoon. No more 70s for a while. 60 for the high. Cloudy, windy, and cool. Couple of showers here and there, but no afternoon rains all the time. Kind of a springtime pattern. Tonight, cloudy, scattered showers, chilly, 45. Wednesday, cloudy, windy, off and on showers, a chilly day, upper 40s. Instant replay on Thursday. The sun comes back in 60 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's happening right here, right now.
I will do what needs to be done to reduce the price you pay at the pump.
Even if we drilled as much as we could, the price of oil is still set globally.
This Keystone pipeline, it would take years for that to have an impact on prices.
There's an impediment to production in the United States.
Right here, right now.
And it's called the bankers on Wall Street.
The price of oil is very much dependent upon the global supply.
It's because of COVID affecting the supply chain.
97.1 FM Talk.
Looking to sell your house without all the hassle and pricey repair costs? Great, because Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis loves buying fix-up homes in any condition, as is, no fees and no commissions. Call 314-782-8000, and Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis will give you a cash offer right now. No strings attached. We buy inherited houses, divorce houses, trashed houses, even those my tenant won't pay rent houses. Call Chris at 314-782-8000 and find out how easy it is to work with us. That's 314-782-8000. Do you think your home will be difficult to sell? Easy. Our team will provide you with personal guidance through our short and simple process to turn your house into a pile of gold. Just call Chris at 314-782-8000. 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And let Chris worry about everything.
Mark Cox here. Guys, let Victory Men's Health help you regain your vitality by optimizing your hormones, vitamins, and sexual health. Victory Men's Health has the most cutting-edge technologies to treat ED. They have wave therapy. Listen, this is the biggest advancement for men with ED since the launch of Viagra. That's pretty incredible. They do the treatments in their office. Victory Men's Health offers wave therapy in both their Illinois and Missouri location. Check them out online today at victorymenshealth.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Start your bracket with a bang. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. That's right. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet the bracket is up to you. You can choose from the money line totals, prop bets, and so much more. Look, there are some great opportunities in this tournament. I've been looking at the bracket. Plus, with the cash out, the ball is in your court. So you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. Join FanDuel today with the promo code MARK, M-A-R-K. Then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit, guaranteed. That's the promo code MARK on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel is the official partner of 97.1 FM Talk. 21 plus and present in Illinois. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check out FanDuel today.
Need to spring back into hiring season? You need Indeed, the smart hiring platform that delivers 4 times more hires than all other sites combined. According to Talent Nest, post a job and hire ASAP. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The Odyssey app is for this station and also for music stations. Get 97.1 FM Talk on your phone or pick a genre. It's all there. The Odyssey app. 971talk.com. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is sponsored by The Loading Dock, Riverviews, outdoor dining, live music, and overnight accommodations. Visit GraftonLoadingDock.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, from the radio on a Saturday, and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for spending some of your rainy Tuesday afternoon with us. Did you hear me say earlier tonight's my son's first baseball game?
No, I didn't. Yeah,
We've had some stellar weather. It's like they look at our schedule, and it's a turf field. So,
oh well, we've had 3 Saturday night or Friday night soccer games, and if you remember the last 3 Fridays, they've been rainy or snowy, and then the rest of the week's been fine. So mostly rainy. I don't know if we've had snow, but it's been bad weather.
No, last Friday was pretty nice, and then Saturday was terrible.
Last Friday was the only one we didn't have it scheduled, which is what it makes it even funnier. Yeah, before that it was a couple Fridays in a row and they were bad.
At what age do you think it's okay to start playing games at night on school nights where they'll go till about 10 o'clock?
You'd probably be better than this because your kids are a little older than mine, but if I had to guess, I'd say 12.
That's how old my son is. 8 o'clock game tonight. And I mean, I don't particularly care because I have it on lock when like if this is going to the biggest consequence is how's it going to affect your schoolwork? That's number one. So if the schoolwork is okay, then check that box and move on. The second thing is you better not be a little snot in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like getting kids ready to go in the morning.
Yeah, I do know.
Are your kids good morning kids? Are they morning people?
My oldest son is. My daughter is like tantrum if I didn't get enough sleep. So it's very different. And they're twins. So I think one of them's probably overreacting by being good and showing, look, I'm being good. The other one's like, I don't care about anything.
I have told my children, specifically my son, I'm just calling him out right now, Charlie. I have told him that in the morning, you don't have to be happy to wake up. You don't have to like it. You can feel really cranky inside. You can keep to yourself. We'll respect you keeping to yourself, but you do not get to treat other people in a way that shows like we are not going to suffer through your mornings. You can suffer through your mornings. I am not a morning person, and I know what it's like to wake up and be around morning people. You people.
No, I am not a morning person, and my dad was.
Are you?
No, I'm not really a morning person, but I'm okay.
There are not many people in radio, I think, that are morning people. And ironically, sometimes morning show people are not morning people.
No, that's true. That's very true. I used to be a morning show person, and I did not like it.
I would not want to be around me if I had to do that shit. I mean, if I had to feed my family, I'd do what I had to do, but it's not an easy thing. But teaching my kid, that's the hardest thing to do for me. But most important thing is to teach my kids that your emotions are natural and they're okay. Whatever that emotion is, it's okay to have that emotion, but 100% you're responsible for how you react to it. And mornings are ground zero for how do you feel and how are you going to treat people in the wake of it. So we'll see. I don't know if we're going to even have the baseball game tonight. I'm kind of torn on whether or not I want it to happen.
You don't want it to happen. It's not fun being outside right now.
Real news.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm going to have a baby out there, which means I'm probably going to have to try to park. And,
oh, man.
Yeah.
Now let's pray for more rain.
Yeah.
Just a downpour. Tell Charlie it's all right. You want to have your first game on a sunny afternoon or evening, and
he'll roll with it. He'll go with whatever. All right. We were listening to Ted Cruz question Judge Jackson before we went to the break and really laying into some things, specifically that Judge Jackson had put in some speeches that she gave that were adherent to the 1619 Project, among other things. And we want to share a little bit more of what's going on right now. Ted Cruz is still with the Senate Judiciary Committee questioning Judge Jackson. And we're going to pull it up on our live stream here so you can watch it with us. And we're just going to listen in and see what Ted Cruz has to say and kind of get reaction from it. So make sure you go on the live chat and comment with us. Let's listen again.
Was about sentencing policy. It was not about sentencing. I was talking about the policy determinations of bodies like the Sentencing Commission when they look at a laundry list of various academic subjects as they consider what the policy should be.
Okay, but
Critical
you were
race-
vice chair of the Sentencing Commission, so let me ask again, what did you mean by, because that was an official responsibility of yours, what did you mean by what you were doing was critical race?
What I meant was that there are a number of, that slide does not show the entire laundry list of different academic disciplines that I said relate to sentencing policy, but none of that relates to what I do as a judge.
So let me ask you a different question. Is critical race theory taught in schools? Is it taught kindergarten through 12th?
Senator, I don't know. I don't think so. I believe it's an academic theory that's at the law school level.
Okay. As you may recall, during the confirmation hearings of Justice Amy Coney Barrett, there was a great deal of attention paid to the fact that Justice Barrett served as a board member on the board of trustees of a religious private school, and the press focused very intensely on the views of that school. In your questionnaire to this committee, you disclosed that you are similarly on a board, specifically the board of trustees for the Georgetown Day School, and that you've been a board member since 2019 and you're currently still a board member. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In regard to the Georgetown Day School, you've publicly said, quote, since becoming a member of the GDS community 7 years ago, Patrick and I have witnessed the transformative power of a rigorous progressive education that is dedicated to fostering critical thinking, interdependence, and social justice. When you refer to social justice and the school's mission on social justice, what did you mean by that?
Thank you, Senator, for allowing me to address this issue. Georgetown Day School has a special history that I think is important to understand when you consider my service on that board. The school was founded in 1945 in Washington, D.C. at a time in which, by law, there was racial segregation in this community. Black students were not allowed in the public schools to go to school with white students. Georgetown Day School is a private school that was created when 3 white families, Jewish families, got together with 3 Black families and said that despite the fact that the law requires us to separate, despite the fact that the law is set up to make sure that Black children are not treated the same as everyone else, we are going to form a private school so that our children can go to school together. The idea of equality, justice, is at the core of the Georgetown Day School mission, and it's a private school such that every parent who joins the community does so willingly with an understanding that they are joining a community that is designed to make sure that every child is valued, every child is treated as having inherent worth, and none are discriminated against because of race.
So, Judge Jackson, all of us will agree that no one should be discriminated against because of race. When you just testified a minute ago that you didn't know if critical race theory was taught in K through 12, I will confess I find that statement a little hard to reconcile with the public record, because if you look at the Georgetown Day School's curriculum, it is filled and overflowing with critical race theory. That among the books that are either assigned or recommended, they include Critical Race Theory, an introduction. They include The End of Policing, an advocacy for abolishing police. They include How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. They include literally stacks and stacks of books, and I'll tell you 2 of the ones that were most stunning. They include a book called Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram Kendi. And there are portions of this book that I find really quite remarkable. One portion of the book says babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There is no neutrality. Another portion of the book, they recommend to babies confess when being racist. Now, this is a book that is taught at Georgetown Day School to students in pre-K through 2nd grade, so 4 through 7 years old. Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist?
Senator, I do not believe that any child should be made to feel as though they are racist, or though they are not valued, or though they are less than, that they are victims, that they are oppressors. I don't believe in any of that. But what I will say is that when you asked me whether or not this was taught in schools, critical race theory, my understanding is that critical race theory as an academic theory is taught in law schools. And to the extent that you were asking the question, I understood you to be addressing public schools. Georgetown Day School, just like the religious school that Justice Barrett was on the board of, is a private school.
Okay, so you agree critical race theory is taught at Georgetown Day School?
I don't know, because the board is not, the board does not control the curriculum. The board does not focus on that. That's not what we do as board members. So I'm actually not sure.
Well, and I'll note that the board is chaired by Professor Fairfax, your college roommate who introduced you yesterday. So the 2 of you serve on the board together. Another book that is on the summer reading for 3rd through 5th grade is a book called Stamped for Kids, again by Ibram Kendi. I read the entirety of the book, and I will say it is an astonishing book. On page 33, it asks the question, can we send white people back to Europe? That's on 33. That's what's being given to 8 and 9 years old. It also, on page 115, says the idea that we should pretend not to see racism is connected to the idea that we should pretend not to see color. It's called color blindness. Skipping ahead, here's what's wrong with this. It's ridiculous. Skin color is something we all absolutely see. Skipping ahead, so to pretend not to see color is pretty convenient if you don't actually want to stamp out racism in the first place. Now, what this book argues for is the exact opposite of what Dr. King spoke about on the floor of the Lincoln Memorial. And are you comfortable with these ideas being taught to children as young as 4 and in respect to the first book, as young as 8 and 9 in respect to the second book?
Senator, I have not reviewed any of those books, any of those ideas. They don't come up in my work as a judge, which I'm respectfully here to address. In my work as a judge, which is evidenced from my near decade on the bench.
Okay, good. Then let's go back to your work as a judge. As was noted in the first slide, you discussed sentencing as being related to critical race theory. And earlier, there's been some back and forth as Democratic senators have tried to address your sentencing patterns as it concerns child pornography. And I'll confess, Judge Jackson, as I listen to your testimony, I believe you are someone who is compassionate. I believe you care for children, obviously your children and other children. But I also see a record of activism and advocacy as it concerns sexual predators that stems back decades and that is concerning. You wrote your note on the Harvard Law Review on sex crimes. Your note is your major academic work on the Law Review, and yours is entitled Prevention versus Punishment Towards a Principled Distinction in the Restraint of Released Sex Offenders. And in it, you argue, and I quote, a recent spate of legislation purports to regulate released sex offenders by requiring them to register with local law enforcement officials, notify community members of their presence, undergo DNA testing, and submit to civil commitment for an indefinite term. Although many courts and commentators herald these laws as valid regulatory measures, others reject them as punitive enactments that violate the rights of individuals who have already been sanctioned for their crimes. Under existing doctrine, the constitutionality of sex offender statutes depends upon their characterization as essentially preventative rather than punitive. And what you go on to explain is if they're viewed as punitive, they are unconstitutional. If they're viewed as preventative, they are not. And throughout the course of your note, you argue they should be viewed as punitive and therefore unconstitutional. Indeed, in the second to last page, you go through each of those 4 categories. You say requirements that sex offenders register may or may not be unconstitutional, depending upon whether, quote, in which sex offenders have no privacy right in registration information or blood samples. So you suggest that may or may not be constitutional, although you raise doubts about it. And then you raise very significant doubts about community notification, and you heavily suggest that civil commitment for sexual predators is unconstitutional. Do you still agree with the sentiments you expressed in your law school note?
Respectfully, Senator, those are not the sentiments that I expressed in my law school note. My law school note was about sex offender registration laws, which at the time were relatively new. As you know from our time in law school, one of the things that law school students do is they look for new developments in the law and they try to analyze them. That's something that makes for good fodder for a law school note. My note, which came out in 1996, was shortly after there were new Megan's laws. And the point that I was making was not that the laws were bad, that the laws were wrong. I was trying to assess something that is sort of fundamental in terms of the characterization of the laws. I didn't say that they were unconstitutional one way or the other. What I was trying to assess was how they are characterized. Some courts would look at those laws and call them preventative, and that has a certain set of consequences. Some courts would call them punitive, and that has a certain set of consequences. And what I was trying to do is figure out how to make the determination whether they were punitive or preventative.
Well, your note argued that they were punitive. And I would note that view, there have been some on the bench that have advocated that. The Supreme Court in 1997 decided a case called Kansas versus Hendricks, in which it upheld Kansas's civil commitment statute. That was a 5-4 vote. This has been a question that has been close at the Supreme Court. And I would note beyond that, that in terms of the prevalence of these statutes, all 50 states and DC have registry requirements. 47 states have community notification requirements. All 50 states have DNA or blood banks for sex offenders requirements. And 20 of the states, the federal government in DC, have laws that allow for the indefinite detention of sex offenders. I would note in the state of Texas, a state court of appeals, relying on very much the same sort of reasoning you advocated in your note, struck down Texas's sexually violent predator civil commitment law. At the time I was the Solicitor General of Texas, I personally argued that appeal in the Texas Supreme Court. And the Texas Supreme Court unanimously reversed the Court of Appeals and upheld our statute. And if the views you advocated in law school prevailed, civil commitment laws across the country would be struck down, releasing sexual predators. And under the argument, community notification and DNA bank laws could well be struck down as well. Is that an outcome that should concern people?
Senator, my note wasn't advocating for the striking down of those laws. My note was trying to identify criteria that I thought could be applied consistently to determine whether the laws were punitive or preventative.
But with respect
Either
to Jackson, you argued that they were punitive, and you further say in the note, if they're punitive, they're unconstitutional.
I was looking at 4 different kinds of laws, and not all of them, did I say, were punitive.
Okay, so let's take civil commitments laws. If you look at civil commitment laws right now, the UCLA School of Law, Williams Institute, estimates more than 6,300 sex offenders are currently detained in civil commitment programs. If the view you advocated prevailed, presumably those 6,300 sex offenders would be released to the public. Is that an outcome that should be concerning?
Senator, in law school, when I was writing a note, I was looking at a brand new set of laws that had not previously been enacted in any jurisdiction. They were new. And I was assessing at the time, as law school students do, what criteria I thought might be used by courts to make a determination in the future as to whether or not they should be treated as punitive and therefore not unconstitutional, but as therefore ones that carry with them certain rights versus preventative.
Judge Jackson, so you've pointed that these were views in law school, and listen, I will recognize that all of us, when we are students, may have views that as time and maturity passes on, we may change. But what troubles me is this was not just a law school view, it's one that has continued. So when you were vice chairman of the Sentencing Commission, you expressed significant concerns that the White House has argued that your quotes were taken out of context. So I want to provide the full context of your quote, because you said, yes, I want to ask you about the means by which we can distinguish more or less serious offenders. I know that all of you sort of touched on that. Mr. Futrell, you talked about going from singular to one-on-one to group experience. I'm just wondering if there's some sort of inevitable and natural progression from one stage to the other, such that you could say that the least serious offenders are in the singular experience stage. And I guess my thought is, in looking at some of the testimony that other people will have later in the day, I was surprised at some of the testimony with respect to the motivation of offenders, and we're talking about child pornography offenders, and that there are people who get involved with this kind of activity who may not be pedophiles and who may not be necessarily interested really in the child pornography, but have other motivations with respect to the use of technology and being in the group. And here are lots of reasons perhaps why people might engage in this. And so I'm wondering whether you could say that there could be a less serious child pornography offender who is engaging in the type of conduct in the group experience level, because their motivation is the challenge or to use the technology. They're very sophisticated technologically, but they aren't necessarily that interested in the child pornography piece of it. Now I find that a pretty remarkable argument that people in possession of child pornography are not actually interested in the child porn. They're not pedophiles. They're just interested in technology. Is that, and I wanted to provide the whole quote because the White House said that portions of this were used out of context. So this is your entire quote. Do you agree with that sentiment that there is some meaningful population of people who have child pornography, but are not in fact pedophiles or getting satisfaction from it?
Thank you, Senator, for allowing me to address what appears to be a question that I was asking in the context of a hearing on child pornography. You've provided the entire quote, and it looks as though I was asking that of someone, not taking that position. And the position that I've taken in all of my sentencings involving child pornography offenders is to ensure that despite the attitude and view of many of the offenders who came before me when I was a trial judge, that they were just lookers, that they weren't really harming anyone, that they were curating their collections and they never touched a child, I made sure that they understood that notwithstanding their collecting behavior, that they were causing significant harm.
So Judge Jackson, all right, you raise your actual sentencing, and I think that's very productive. Let's take a look at your actual sentencing. And you've had 10 different cases involving child pornography. These are the cases. There are two, U.S. versus Buttry and U.S. versus Can, for which the government did not make a recommendation. And you said earlier when Chairman Durbin was trying to preempt this line of attack, you said it's a sickening and egregious crime, which I very much agree with. And you said the guidelines lead to extreme departures. Okay. Let's look at what the prosecutors are asking for. And I would note that this was in the District of Columbia, where prosecutors are far more liberal than many of the prosecutors in this country. And in every case in which, so United States versus Hess, there was a mandatory statutory minimum of 60 months, and you imposed 60 months because you had no discretion. In United States versus Nickerson, there was a mutual agreement of the parties to 120 months, and that's what you imposed. In every other case, United States versus Chazen, the prosecutor asked for 78 to 97 months. You imposed 28 months. 28 months is a 64% reduction. In United States versus Cooper, the prosecutor asked for 72 months. You imposed 60 months. That was a 17% reduction. In United States versus Downs, the prosecutor asked for 70 months. You imposed 60. That was a 14% reduction. In United States versus Hawkins, the prosecutor asked for 24 months. You imposed 3 months. That was an 88% reduction. In United States versus Savage, the prosecutor asked for 49 months. You imposed 37. That was a 24% reduction. In United States versus Stewart, the prosecutor asked for 97 months. You imposed 57. That was a 41% reduction. Every single case, 100% of them, when prosecutors came before you with child pornography cases, you sentenced the defenders to substantially below, not just the guidelines, which are way higher, but what the prosecutor asked for on average of these cases, 47.2% less. Now, you said you made sure the voice of the children was heard. Do you believe in a case like United States versus Hawkins, where the prosecutor asked for 24 months and you sentenced the offender to only 3 months? Do you believe the voice of the children is heard when 100% of the time you're sentencing those in possession of child pornography to far below what the prosecutor's asking for?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Could you explain how?
I will. A couple of observations. One is that your chart does not include all of the factors that Congress has told judges to consider, including the probation office's recommendation in these cases.
Well, Judge Jackson, we don't have those probation. The committee has not been given the probation office's recommendation. We would welcome them. Mr. Chairman, I would love to see those. We don't have access to them.
The second thing I would say is that I take these cases very seriously as a mother, as someone who, as a judge, has to review the actual evidence in these cases and, based on Congress's requirement, take into account not only the sentencing guidelines, not only the recommendations of the parties, but also things like the stories of the victims, also things like the nature and circumstances of the offense and the history and characteristics of the defendant. Congress is the body that tells sentencing judges what they're supposed to look at. And Congress has said that a judge is not playing a numbers game. The judge is looking at all of these different factors and making a determination in every case based on a number of different considerations. And in every case, I did my duty to hold the defendants accountable in light of the evidence and the information that was presented to me.
In 100% of the cases, was the evidence less than the prosecutors asked for?
Senator, the evidence in these cases are egregious. The evidence in these cases are among the worst that I have seen, and yet, as Congress directs, judges don't just calculate the guidelines and stop. Judges have to take into account the personal circumstances of the defendant because that's a requirement of Congress. Judges have to consider things like the victims. And when I was talking about making sure that victims' circumstances are heard, it was about my sentencing practices that I
show victims being heard with respect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ted Cruz wrapping up quite an interesting line of questions for Judge Jackson, who has been nominated by President Biden to the Supreme Court of the United States. We're going to get quick to a break right now. We took that pretty much for the entire 2 o'clock hour here. It's 2:38 right now. You can donate your car to Goodwill and get 2022 Cardinal tickets. MERSGoodwill.org. Use promo code Cardinals. We're going to wrap this up here in just a minute. Stick with us. Make sure you get your vote in on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Do you or would you support Eric Greitens? Hannah can come in here in just a moment and give us the results of that poll, plus your comments that she's been highlighting throughout the course of the show. More Annie Frey Show in just a minute.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Let's roll another joint and turn the radio.
Find podcasts for your passions on Odyssey.
Like the documentary series Love Thy Neighbor about the 1991 Crown Heights riots.
It was an accident which other people used as an excuse to murder one member of our community.
Or The 11th.
Bringing you true, unexpected stories.
And experience the new podcast movie thriller Ghostwriter.
Starring Kate Mara and Adam Scott.
Maybe it's not a whodunit. If we know who the killer is all along, the real mystery is why.
Find all the podcasts that matter to you in a universe of audio.
Odyssey.
Stewart's American Mortgage, the guy with the bagel loan. And why is it called the bagel loan? Because it looks like a zero, because bagels are round and they look like zeros. And that's to remind you that you pay no fees, that other folks out there who do the same thing, who can help you refinance your mortgage or get a new mortgage on your new home purchase, they're going to charge you lots of fees. Stewie doesn't. That's the bagel loan. That's the whole premise of Stewart's American Mortgage. I've used it twice. And one might say, Annie, why would you refinance twice in like 2 years? Well, because it didn't cost me anything to do that. He doesn't roll the fees into the loan. He doesn't go, sleight of hand and do magic tricks and stick them somewhere that you're going to have to pay for over the course of the length of your loan. They don't exist. When you are looking to refinance, now is a great time to do it before rates continue to go up. The Fed Reserve has raised rates before. We know that they are intending to do so more in the future. That is going to ripple down and affect your opportunity to access a super low rate, plus that high equity that exists in your home right now. Reach out to Stewie at 314-324-4440 and schedule your appointment today to talk to him about how a bagel loan can help you. You can Google the bagel loan to learn more. NMLS number 226715.
I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group. I'm proud to say we are a family business. Through innovative financial tools, my nephew Bob and I are committed to making sure your retirement nest egg is kept safe from market declines. As a matter of fact, we have never lost a dime of our clients' money, and we won't lose any of yours either.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, and the secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. As we look ahead at the likelihood of increasing volatility in the market, it's important that you protect your nest egg from market losses, as that's the engine that drives your retirement income.
Our family would like to help your family retire comfortably and keep your retirement safe and secure. Call us now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 36 years. Call us now, 314-993-9494, or online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning because of a sharp pain in your heel?
I did. I had plantar fasciitis. I had a burning sensation on the bottom of my feet. I went to the Good Feet store, and what a relief. And now I never go without my Good Feet support.
Are your knees and back killing you by the end of the day?
It was getting so severe, I almost stopped walking. I have no problems with my knees now. I couldn't believe how fast it helped me.
You deserve a better life too. Come to the Good Feet store today.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Pain relief and comfort to fit any budget. Come in for a free test walk today. Good Feet products are proudly made in the USA.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. When it comes to your tax issues, why would you trust some faceless national company that uses cartoons in its ads to protect you? Tax problems are not funny and should not be treated lightly. If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue and you need a lawyer that will protect your rights. You can't meet face to face with a cartoon. And what happens if the national company can't resolve your issue and stops returning calls? Do yourself a favor and call the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. I am a local attorney specializing in tax resolution. You can come in and sit down with a licensed, experienced attorney and put a name with a face. When it comes to tax issues, don't go with a cartoon. Get serious help with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Now at Menards, get 11% off everything in the store. Make sure your lawnmower and ATV are ready to go for the year with a new battery from FVP. Each battery is built with the power to get you started in extreme temperatures and designed to last season after season. Get 11% off all FVP batteries. This deal is good through March 26th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
When Richard Irvin decided to take on Pritzker for governor, he wasn't following a whim. He was answering a long familiar call to duty. Irvin joined the Army out of high school, served in Desert Storm, decorated for bravery. Surviving a brush with death in a dangerous war zone, Richard dedicated his life to service because he loves his country and knows how fragile freedom and security are. As a prosecutor, Irvin put thugs behind bars, drug dealers, gangbangers, 1,000 convictions. Hired more cops and cleaned up crime as mayor, balanced budgets, passed property tax relief. When riotous looters came to town, Irvin shut them down. He knows we'll lose the country he fought for if the radical woke mob takes control. Irvin says all lives matter, that schools shouldn't teach kids to be ashamed of their color or country, that we'll take our state back if we have strong, service-minded leadership. And that's Richard Irvin, our next governor, paid for by Irvin for Illinois.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 53 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com. Looking to sell your house in the Metro East? Look no further than my friend Jen Teskey with Remax Alliance. You can Google her name. You're going to see all of the great reviews that she has. Jen, Teskey. She's a friend of the Annie Frey Show. She's here. She's part of our community, and she knows the Metro East better than anyone else. So if you're looking to sell your home and you care about things like selling for top dollar, presenting your home in a way that's going to attract the most buyers really super quickly, look no further than Jen Teskey. Plus, let me add here, she has a great staff behind her helping make sure that she is on top of it all at the same time. It's hard to do for one person. She's got a team that helps get her through each and every day to make sure that you are the epicenter of her day. She can focus on you. She can have her team put your house and home into the best possible position to sell fast. Reach out to Jen Teskey and figure out exactly if you're ready to sell, if you're not 100% sure you're ready to sell, but you want to know maybe what you could get for your house. Have the conversation with Jen Teskey. You can Google Jen, Teskey, Remax Alliance in the Metro East. You're going to love her.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
My fire, the one desire, believe when I say I want it that way, but we are two worlds apart.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We've had a lot of Ted Cruz in this hour. If you missed it, you can go into the Odyssey app right now, rewind to about 2:10 or so, where we aired the second portion of the questioning to Judge Jackson, who is looking to be confirmed to the Supreme Court with Ted Cruz. And he really hit those issues that earlier in the show, if you missed it, at 1:10, we had Hans von Spakovsky on with the Heritage Foundation talking to us about key issues that this judge needs to be questioned on, namely critical race theory and her history of sentencing of child pornography, victim or criminals, whatever. So real quick, before we get to the Eric Greitens poll, Ryan, do you have any thoughts on Ted Cruz questioning or the day so far?
I think it's fine for him to drill down on that issue. I just want to make sure that in the other questioning, and I think they've done this, but I would like to see them do it, really get her on record talking about anything that could come up in a Supreme Court case for the next decade. Get it on record, get her saying it so that you have it for the future, because she's going to be confirmed. What you need is to plan for the future. And I guess she's going to get it. So regardless, but to have those quotes is going to be, I think, the most valuable thing you can get out of this.
Brad?
I don't think she's going to say anything like that, Ryan. I think she's too smart for that. She's done a great job tiptoeing. And what did What did Han say? Dancing around the question?
I'm not saying she's
He
not going to
said
dance
skating.
around him.
Skating, that's right.
I'm just
Skating
saying,
around
get her
it.
on record saying what she thinks about every issue possible.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think you'll get her on record because they tried to do that with Amy Coney Barrett and she just didn't. I can't comment on that. And she was for if something's going to come up to the Supreme Court, I'm not going to comment on it now because then that would mean I would have to recuse myself when the time came. But I thought Ted Cruz did a good job. I think that the senators as a whole are doing a good job of being polite and not brutal. I don't think they can come off as this seen as like, lambasting her or anything like that. So I think that's good. But I think she's doing a good job of, like you said, skating around the questions.
Hannah, have you ever watched a Supreme Court?
I have not. It seems
confirmation hearing
long. I feel like everybody in there, they're like,
Did you mean boring?
Yeah, boring, long. Everybody in there is like, oh. I liked all the comments on the YouTube feed about the sodas. Those were making me laugh.
So real quick here, if you weren't on the YouTube feed for us, you could see the soda that Ted Cruz was drinking, but just the nutrition label was facing us. What kind of soda was that?
Diet Dr. P.
I said the same thing, Diet Dr. Pepper. Brad said it was not Diet Dr. Pepper because it was the wrong bottle.
No,
It's the wrong shaped bottle.
No, it's Diet Dr. Pepper.
Then what was it?
I couldn't tell you because I couldn't see the label, but it looks like a Diet Dr. Pepper label with the maroon ring on the top. But
weak argument.
It's a Pepsi bottle.
Yeah.
But it's not Diet Pepsi because that's the wrong color for that too.
I liked the comments about how it looked stale.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
the real question that I have is he sat there the whole time with the lid off of it.
I know that. Nope.
I'm a grown up. I'm not responsible enough to have that happen right now.
Plus, the bottle wasn't wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm. Just breathing out there in the open.
Exactly.
Taking in the stuff. All right, let's get to our poll question before we wrap things up here and turn it over to the Mark Reardon Show. Hannah, what was the YouTube live chat poll today? And what do we got?
So the poll was, do or would you support Eric Greitens? And I have the stats from 121 votes.
All right, give us the options before you give us the statistics.
Okay, the options were yes, they would support in both the primary and the general, yes, only in the general, or no, I would not support him. And the top answer was no, I would not support him. That was 67% of the votes today. And then it was a tie for both the yes responses. They both had 17%. So yes, they would support him in both the primary and the general, or yes, they would support him, but only in the general.
So like the numbers I'm looking at right now are 66% no, and then a combination of 34% said yes. Like if it were a general election and it's Eric Greitens or Democrat, 34% of our audience says that they would support him.
That is actually remarkably close to actual polling. I mean, that's all, but all the polling that exists right now is before this story broke.
Well, we are pretty official.
Yeah, but no,
we're as
that's
scientific as any other poll, in my opinion, and I know that because I polled one person. It was me, and 100% of people agree.
Interesting. He's been polling at about 30 or to 33%, roughly a third of the electorate of the GOP electorate has been supporting him. And it hasn't moved much. And so the other 2/3 has been split between mostly Vicky Hartzler and Schmidt. And so that poll really lines up with that. However, that's taken after this story has broken, which is interesting.
So real quick, Brad, your thoughts on who really, I guess, politically benefits from this Greitens story, because he is the front runner in this Senate race right now, in the Senate primary.
Who benefits from it?
Vicky Hartzler has the Josh Hawley endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Schmidt is very close neck and neck in polling with Vicky Hartzler. Greitens is in the lead. Do you think that is it easy to say, oh, the Greitens support goes to this person, or whole new ball game if this were to politically knock him out?
I think a lot of the Greitens support evaporates if this thing gains momentum. I think that there's a lot of people, not that it goes to anybody, but it just kind of goes away. People don't pick up on it, So I think that there are people out there that are Greitens and Greitens only.
Yeah.
And if Greitens isn't the person, then I'm staying home and I'm not voting. I don't think that's a wise decision.
I was gonna say, gosh, people,
that's a terrible choice.
Well, that's just the primary, though. I don't know that they wouldn't show up in a general.
Well, I don't know. It depends, because it's going to be like, do they feel like he was wronged out of his thing again? Because that's the group
we
that
had
thinks,
somebody. Well, you have comments.
I do. We had a lot of comments actually. People were saying, I can't answer the poll at this time. Given new info, I need to wait and see more before I'd feel comfortable answering the
Like
poll.
a Greitens response, which he has
Right.
come out and defended himself.
Mm-hmm.
In the wake of.
My vote has nothing to do with his ex's accusations. I just don't like Greitens.
That's not good.
Someone from YouTube said, absent proof beyond a reasonable doubt, I would support Greitens at this time. I reserve the right to retract support in light of more proof later. Lots of people said they can't vote until they hear more about.
That's interesting. So we have 126 people who have voted right now, and there are people who are commenting saying they need more time to weigh in.
And yeah, and there will be more facts
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good partner. Mark Cox is going to have Eric Greitens, I think, in studio at 8:20 p.m. or a.m. And make sure that you're listening to the Mark Cox Show in the morning. If that changes or shifts or updates, you got to be listening to the Mark Cox Morning Show to hear what Greitens' response is, because he has the right, obviously, to defend himself, and we're all waiting to see what he has to say. The Mark Reardon Show, however, coming up next. Don't go away.
Internationally famous, locally made Andrea's steak sauce is on sale right now at Schnucks if you want to pick up a bottle. I talk about their steak sauce a lot, and that's really what makes their steakhouse famous. But it's not just famous for that reason. Opened in 1978, and if you go to O'Fallon, you're just looking for somewhere to eat, you're actually not going to find Andrea's because it's off the beaten path. You can drive the strip, find some good restaurants, but you're not going to find Andrea's unless you make it a destination, because it is located off the main road, back kind of in a cove by itself. If I'm painting a picture for you, you actually drive into a little sort of enclave of trees, and it's an old house that's sitting there. Very, very unique. They used to do jazz nights there. It's still got that feel. Andrea's Steakhouse is in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois. And of course, like I said, their sauce, internationally famous, locally made. You can pick a bottle up at Schnucks, Deerbergs. It's on sale at Schnucks right now. Andreas.com.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency